Welcome everyone, Coach Seth here from Red Hawk Wrestling Club. Today we're going to be going over the part 2 of the match review series that we did with Chase McCauley. We did the first 4 matches in part 1. Today we'll do the second 4 matches in part 2. So we'll be going over lots of different matches and seeing what we can find as far as helping Chase out with the technical aspects of the match and seeing maybe what he can do differently. How he can impact situations differently based on different choices and whatnot. So without further ado, let's just dive right in. All right, let's start the match. So again, you kind of just bat that wrist off when he posts on it, and I want you to try to use every little point of contact against your opponent if possible. So this right here, where the guy kind of just clubs and gets a collar tie with his left hand, and you grab the wrist and kind of just bat it away, I want you to try to use that as much as possible. You can grab the wrist, you can take it down and go arm drag. You can go pass by on the right side. That's a little bit weird for a lot of wrestlers doing a lefty pass by, but you can grab the elbow and go lefty pass by. You can also go to an over tie. Your left arm can go up to the head, right arm can go on the inside of the right arm over here and just go hip to hip and slide it by. So you can do an over tie, you can do a pass by, you can do wrist control to an arm drag. You can do lots of things when people make contact with the collar tie. Try to make sure that you do that whenever possible. Whenever anybody makes contact, especially at the beginning of the match. Because a lot of times at the beginning of a match, people aren't really ready yet. They try to spend the first 10, 15 seconds get accustomed to the person that they're wrestling. And if you attack quickly, you can often catch them off guard. So you do tend to see a lot of high-level wrestlers attacking very quickly, off the whistle, trying to get to a shot or get to a takedown as soon as possible. And so this would be one way of doing that, by using that arm against them, or really using whenever they make contact against your opponent. So you just kind of batting it away is, again, that's like not using an opportunity to your disposal. And again, later in the match, you don't know what that could have affected. It could have affected the score. It could have allowed you to get a takedown quickly, ride him out to a different outcome, etc. So you try to use every point of contact against your opponent whenever possible. Looks like you're going underhook. You're digging those 2 underhooks again. And this is another situation that I feel like you're forcing with this. You do look like you like to go double underhooks with wrestlers, with opponents, and trying to drive pressure in, trying to overpower them, and trying to, I guess, just throw them or get behind them with the arm throw where you circle around. It can be quite effective, but you can give up bad positioning. Like this right here with your elbows pinched. I explained in the last video where if you're really reaching for those double underhooks, it is possible for the other guy to get your elbows pinched and get a bundle or what we call an ice pick, and then they can use that against you. So be careful here. If it does get uncomfortable and your arms do start to get like tweaked out a little bit, it is safer to just let go of one and use the other. As this started, when you first got the underhook, I don't think it's necessary to dig 2. You got the underhook with the right arm initially, and you can use that to lift it up and attack the near leg. You can look for an ankle pick on the far side. You can fake a high crotch and then go to a front headlock if you can't get that high crotch. There's a lot of things that you can do off of this one underhook that I would like you to explore instead of trying to force the double underhook situation so often. I feel like better, stronger, more powerful wrestlers, it won't do too much, the double underhook thing, especially if you're stretched out. It'll be difficult to make that work. So try to use the one underhook. It just tends to make things a little bit easier. It's really, really difficult to just overpower everyone in this sport, and you're always going to run into wrestlers that are stronger than you. So it's important to try to use technique, try to use intelligence as much as possible. So right here is kind of like a dangerous, sketchy situation. It looks like you are able to break free from that. You are able to lift him up with those double underhooks. So, cool for this match. But again, like against a better, stronger wrestler, it may not be the case. And you could even do something where you try to start digging and the guy clamps everything down and then you like let go of one and get a front headlock real quick. That is possible. Let's see what you do with this. Get 2 underhooks. Looks like you're scooting around like the previous match. So now you get into a situation where it's like throw for throw. Can you throw him or is he going to throw you? And he's not really clamping onto the overhooks too much. He's kind of being lackadaisical about this situation, which isn't great. Your opponent, Nick Massaro, your opponent should be trying to go double overs, trying to get a grip of those overhooks, maybe locking his hands up, throwing his knuckles into your chest, trying to get your hips away from him a little bit so that it's harder for you to just throw your hips in and throw him. And then you can look for outside trips, Polishes, and inside trips and stuff like that. Or you could look for a headlock. I mean, those are all the different options from this situation. There aren't that many great options when somebody's bullying you like this, but there are lots of options for your opponent. And these are also things for you to keep in mind as you're doing this, as you're going through with the situation. It looks like you're just going to throw him to his back. Probably pin him here because it's 17 seconds in. There's only 52 seconds to the match, so we'll see how this goes. Yeah, you can step behind his leg and start trying to take him backwards, which looks like what you're trying to do. You're going to have to throw a lot more hip pressure to accomplish that, though. Like, right here would be a good time when you're in this position to throw hip pressure and take him back to your left shoulder. You can just launch him. If you throw your hips in and lean back a little bit and then lean to your left shoulder, you can launch him straight to his back. That's probably what you would have to do if you want to get this throw, like right now. You have to throw more hip pressure and really go for this. It does look like he's blocking your legs a little bit, so that would make it a little more difficult, but shouldn't be too bad. And again, this right here where you step behind, you dig your knee into the back of his knee. That's good because it'll put pressure on his leg and make it so it's easier for you to throw him backwards. It doesn't look like it works here, but that's okay. And then he starts to go for the headlock, which is really, really common. And honestly, if you're in a situation like this where he does start to get a grip of your head, so he's going for the headlock, getting your head free will be the easiest way to get behind the guy and score from here, obviously. So it could be, say, it looks like maybe you just have locked hands. It looks like you could almost go to like a 2-on-1 here and then use your other hand. Use your other hand to push the elbow forward. So you could use like your left hand to push this elbow forward to pop your head out and try to get behind him. Because with him in a headlock and you with a body lock, you do want to take him backwards. And of course, if he does start to get leverage momentum against you and starts to throw you towards the mat, you can step in front of him and throw him, or you can just try to just roll through. But if he does get you to the mat and he steps over your body, the roll through will be very difficult. That's what I've seen in a lot of high level matches when somebody gets a headlock, especially if it's a little sketchy. As soon as it hits the mat, they will step over your body immediately to stop you from rolling through. So be aware of that. This is kind of a sketchy position. It could go very well for you, or it could go very badly for you. Let's see what happens. There's only 30 seconds left of the match. It looks like you continue to try to take him backwards, which honestly is a great thing, especially if you have leverage. You can try to take him backwards straight to his back, and odds are he's going to bail like he did, and you're going to be able to get your two. This is, of course, if you get leverage over the situation. I had a wrestler in the past, I won't mention names, I had a wrestler in the past who liked to go from shots to doubles or shots. No, he liked to go from shots to body locks a lot, and that got him in a lot of trouble against good wrestlers because he would get headlocked, or when somebody tried to headlock him, he tried to take him backwards, and that worked for a lot of like weaker wrestlers that he wrestled, but for a lot of the stronger wrestlers it didn't, and it cost him in some very big matches like state semifinals and whatnot. So making sure that you don't put yourself in position for this to happen. So if you're going for a shot, you don't go up to a body lock. You stay on the legs and you finish the shot on the legs. Because typically if you are fighting upper body pressure, if you're fighting the upper body, it's strength for strength. If you're attacking the legs, it's more of a technical takedown and tends to be more consistent. So as a coach, you always recommend that people get really, really good at leg attacks as opposed to getting really good at throws, which tend to be inconsistent by nature. So, but you are able to throw him backwards and get behind him, so that's nice. Looks like you're going for a claw ride right away. I imagine you're going to go back to your cradle, your crossface cradle that you like to do. And you have a pretty good pressure on him. He's not really getting off of his stomach. And when he's on his stomach, that's a great time to get that crossface and grab that far elbow. Just block the elbow and, punch the crossface across and try to get that elbow, and then you'll be well on your way to getting that cradle, especially if he's on his stomach, which is pretty much what you're doing here. It looks like you're grabbing his wrist a little bit to control his arm. Yeah, you're grabbing his wrist right there to control his arm so he doesn't circle away. That could actually be a good way of getting that far elbow controlled. Although it might be a little bit easier if you just post your hand right on his elbow. Like your right hand, just push it right on your elbow and just cross face and get to that far elbow. Might be a little bit easier if you do that. Because again, like the farthest point away from the shoulder, so his elbow is the easiest. Let's say he's weakest the farther away from the shoulder that you get. So if you push on his wrist, obviously his elbow bends and you don't have any pressure. But if you go right at the elbow here, you can keep that elbow controlled with minimal effort, I think. And you can start to drive that crossface. Although this might be a sneaky way of getting the elbow controlled too, so who knows. You do get that far elbow, you do get the cradle. You pull him backwards, which is fine. Pulling him backwards is usually the best thing to do right away. A lot of people try to roll through right away when they get into a situation like this. And that can become very sketchy if you lose the arm and the guy posts and stuff like that. So pushing into him and jumping over to the other side, pulling him backwards is a good play, in my opinion, right away. Especially if it works. I mean, why not? So you get this cradle, bottom knee in the side. They say bottom knee in the side, head in the temple. That was the general adage for cradles when I was growing up. You can throw your bottom knee like right into his armpit. Try to get it into his rib cage, as high on the rib cage as you can to get that pin. Looks like you get the pin here, so easy peasy. The other guy gets up like, that wasn't a pin. Which, it may not have been a pin, but from the referee's perspective, yeah, it's going to look like a pin. Referee would have to be all the way over here to see whether or not this is a pin. Right now, he's kind of just looking on this side, so it's going to be a little bit harder to see like a really accurate pin, but not every referee really cares about all of that, so easy match, easy pin. So, honestly, in my opinion, in my professional coach's opinion, I would recommend that you focus more on leg attacks than trying to go double unders. Double unders is going to be effective against weaker wrestlers, not so effective against stronger wrestlers. Leg attacks are going to be more effective against stronger wrestlers. So, in general, I would recommend that you focus on trying to attack the legs and trying to get good at leg attacks and get proficient at scrambles or denying scrambles. So, denying the shin whiz or the crackdown or the out the back door defense. Like, trying to get yourself in a good position when you get to shots consistently so that matches like this, well, you can just take him down through a leg attack instead of just bullying him with double underhooks. Of course, for a lot of wrestlers, this is going to work, but I always try to focus on getting you guys prepared for wrestling the best wrestlers. Like, the bottom 80% of the wrestling population, in my opinion, like, what works against them doesn't really matter because you can use athleticism and strength to get like random dumb things accomplished. But against the top 20%, the top 10%, especially the top 5%, you're going to need good hand fighting, good leg attacks, good scrambling techniques, and all of that. And so making sure that you work on that in every single match is important. So the hand fighting, the fakes, down blocks, the reshots, good head position, using a good use of tie-ups and fakes, and good use of scrambling when you get to a leg, or hopefully denying the scrambling of your opponent when you get to a leg, finishing shots quickly. You want to work on that as much as you can as you're growing up, as you're developing your skills, because I do think like throws like this, takedowns like this, where you kind of just bully someone, it'll work against this guy, but against a better wrestler, it may not. So you want to be careful with what you actually try to develop as you're wrestling in matches and as you're wrestling live. Like, what's going to work more consistently later in your career, basically. And what's going to work in college easily. Like, double unders and beasting someone like this, is that going to work consistently in college? Or should you start trying to develop skills that will work consistently once you get to that level? And so as a coach, I always try to curb you. I always try to get you start using technique that is going to work well later into your career. And if something doesn't prove to be very efficient in college, I don't like to have you guys drill them, and I don't like to have you guys do them in matches if possible, unless it's absolutely necessary. But yeah, so in this match, I would recommend do more leg attacks and everything like that. And if you think the match is going to be easy, like if it's going to be a quick pin like this, you might want to prolong the match by getting your back points and letting them go, and then looking for more takedowns, looking for more back points, and trying to get up to a point where you're tech falling the kid before you pin him. So we call that a tech pin, and that will help get your skills better at this sport as well. Although at this point in the tournament, it may be a situation where you already had 4 or 5 matches and you don't feel like wrestling a full match. So if you can get a pin, that would be great. Like, it might be that kind of a concept that you're thinking about, as far as pinning a guy this quickly. But at the same time, think about your future. Think about the development of your style, of your technique, and everything like that. And how can you better develop your technique, get more mat time, right? So pinning a guy in the first period is nice, get it done quick and easy, but it also denies the other 2 periods of actual wrestling. So you do want to try to prolong matches when you do have the energy and time for it, which who knows, at a tournament like this, you have a lot of tough matches, so you're saving your energy or whatever, but dual meet tournaments tend to not mean anything, so if you can get more mat time on dual meet tournaments, that is better. So that means if it's going to be an easy pin, let him go. Get your 3, look for another turn, look for something different, look for something you haven't done in a while, or let him go, release him and look for good shots, good takedowns and whatnot. So at that point, you're not worried about winning the match anymore. You're just worried about improving your technique. All right, let's go on to the next match. So now we have Chase McCauley. Again, he's in the silver and blue, versus Gunnar Havens. Looks like this is a longer match. This is a 6-minute match, or 6-minute video anyway, so maybe it's a full match, which is good. Because short matches, I tend to not have too much to say. So cool, we have a full match here. Let's see what happens. Let's start it over from the beginning. All right, let's go. So here you're kind of in a front headlock. The guy does have control of your far shoulder with an overhook here, and you have his elbow controlled on the left side. So you can actually use that as a pass by, although it is a little weird when the guy has the far overhook over on the other side. So getting to the pass by, or getting an angle where you're hip to hip, your left hip is close to his left hip, might be difficult because of that grip he has. But that also means that you can do a peek out. So with your right elbow, you can throw that back, you can throw your left knee underneath, and you can pop your head out the near side, the side that we can see. So you can throw this elbow back, and you can throw this knee straight down and pop your head out. So you can actually do a peek out, or a bit of a duck under from this position as well. You can do that with the elbow that you have. If you lift the elbow and you throw your right knee underneath, and you can go for a high crotch, or maybe more of a boot scoot where you try to scoot your hips forward a little bit as you attack that high crotch. Either way, this is a situation where you can use this position, and you want to try to use this position to attack him as quickly as you can, because if he gets a front headlock, then you're in a much worse place. So you do want to try to use one of these shots, either the elbow, lift it up and shoot underneath it, or the peek out on the right side. And you can honestly fake one and go to the other. It does depend on how long this situation lasts. Like, if he lets go of it and just kind of pushes away, you don't really have that opportunity. But this is a great time to either do that high crotch over on the right or that peek out on the left. And you can use that to your advantage. And a lot of times when you start to do that peek out, the guy will bail. Not many people do have a good reaction when people go peek out with that right side, that right elbow. There is a chance that as you do that, he can attack your right side, but usually it throws him off a little bit, so it's tough to do that. But those are just 2 options you have in this situation. You do want to get out of this position as quickly as you can. So regardless of whether one of those 2 shots work, and honestly, you can put those shots together too. Like, you can lift the elbow and go fake high crotch and have him sprawl a little bit and peek out the other side. Or you could like fake a peek out and then go high crotch. So depending on what you want to do or what you're comfortable with, you can do either. But you want to get yourself out of this situation as quickly as you can, because a front headlock is much worse, like I said before, and this is an opportunity for you to attack. So try to attack and try to get yourself free in the process. It looks like he kind of just lets your head go and lets your head pop out. So it is what it is, but let's see what happens from here. Again, you get to an over-under position, which means there's an outside single over here that you can attack. All you have to do is circle out to the side and attack that leg with your left arm, like I saw Gable Stevenson doing. This was years ago. I've been doing this a lot since. It's been a while since I saw that, and I started actually trying to do it in the room. But I really do like that shot, and it is an easy opportunity, especially as soon as the guy gets the over-under. It's like an outside single that a lot of people don't really see. You can push that wrist under as well and go to like an arm drag. So like with this underhook right here, if he lets go of the underhook on the other side, you can push that arm under and across and get an arm drag with your right arm. Just go right into the armpit and start attacking off of that. Like in general, I try to get you guys to shoot as often as you can or to find your attacks as often as you can. Because the earlier you find your attacks, the better. Typically, against good wrestlers, you want to be attacking them as soon as possible. Because if you're attacking them, they can't attack you. They're busy defending. They may be looking for reshots afterwards, but that's fine. Um, you need to get attacking, threatening this guy a little bit with leg attacks as much as you can. He goes fireman's carry, which is going to be normal when you have this underhook like this, especially if you're lifting it up. So sprawling and getting that down block, which you did. You got that down block. That's awesome. Make sure you try to get that as much as you can. Um, because that'll stop the fireman's carry entirely and give you this front headlock that you have. You have double underhooks again. Now you can lift this arm up and lock your hands on the far side and start to use what we call that reinforced cement job. If you lift it up and then sink your shoulder and dig it across, you can lock your hands on the far side, and that will work pretty well. You do have to act fast because the later it takes you to, or the longer it takes you to do that, the more of a chance he'll have your elbows clamped down with his hands. And once he has your elbows clamped down with his hands, it's very tough to get free from this position. So let's see what kind of happens. It looks like he's leaning into that side, which honestly is not a good idea for this guy in the blue singlet. He shouldn't be pulling your elbow down and leaning to that side. It's almost like he's trying to attack a dump, but not realizing you have the cement job, the underhook. And that's a perfect time for you to just punch it through. Like, look at all this pressure. Look at all this control you have here at this point in time. You have a lot of leverage right here. You just need to dig your shoulder underneath a little bit so that you can grab the far hip or maybe lock your hands and take them over. This requires a quick punch across to the far side, but I think you could do that. All of this does happen pretty quickly inside of 5 seconds, but still. A situation like this where you do catch the double unders, I would recommend you try to attack and latch onto that far side with a lock quickly so that you can start to get this over. And when somebody starts to reach like this, it's a perfect time to just run them through with the cement job. A cement job, how basic it is, it's one of the first moves you learn in the sport is a cement job. When you have this front headlock, you're under the arm, you reach across the back, you throw them over. Right? It's one of the first moves that you learn in the sport, but it is very, very effective when done well, like when done at the right time. Even in college, you'll see people do it. So make sure, number one, you respect it defensively, but number two, you attack it as quick as you can when the opportunity does see itself. So when the guy starts to pull your arm down a little bit and starts to try to like dump you over, you punch that through and you start running. It's weird to me. There's a lot of times when I have a front headlock and one of the kids will reach up with that arm, and I'm just like, okay, and I just punch it through and start running. And a lot of times the guy, the person that I'm wrestling is not able to recover because he doesn't have a good way of moving with your motion to try to stabilize himself. He doesn't have a good base. He doesn't have a good way of keeping good motion, so you can just run through the kid in this kind of a situation, which I'd highly recommend. I mean, hell, if you get him all the way to his back, it could be game over or it could be a 5-point play, which is super, super nice in a tough match. But yeah, try to run through that if you can, because once you get to this position here, things get tough. He's got both elbows and he has them pinched, so you almost need to like start working one of your elbows free so you can start to move here. A lot of times this will end up in a stalemate, and a lot of good wrestlers will just hunker down here and just kind of wait for the stalemate. You can use one of your hands, so you can take one of your underhooks off and start to dig at the hand that has your elbow. Start to pull it down one way or the other to try to get him off of your elbow so you can have more room to attack here. Because you do have a front headlock, which is a very overpowered position. You do want to try to use that as quickly as you can. You can try to bounce his head a little bit too. Don't be excessive with it because the referee will not like that if you like try to slam his head down repeatedly. But one bounce here, circling, one bounce there is not too big of a deal, especially the older you get. In college, you'll see coaches start to say, like when the other guy has a front headlock, you'll see them start to say, bounce the head, and literally they mean like bounce his head off the mat, which typically tends to get them a little bit frazzled. It shakes their head a little bit. Usually there's not too much of an issue with concussions or whatever because people will let go of the elbows to post. But that's part of the idea of trying to bounce the head right here is to get him a little frazzled, to get him shaken up, and to make him post, like let go of your elbow and post with his hand, which then allows you to work with this position. And right when he lets go of that underhook here and you still have this front headlock, I would recommend you start to he lets go of this elbow, I would recommend that you start to let go of this underhook, maybe get out to the side and start to use your underhook on the other side. So you can almost let the head pop a little bit and go ankle pick on the far side right here. Or you can do the baseball throw. I don't know what other people call it. We call it a baseball throw where you go hip to hip, throw the underhook forward and catch the leg. You can look to do that as well if you let go of this underhook on this side. Right now, with 2 underhooks, you're kind of keeping yourself buried in this situation, which doesn't allow you to move very much and attack very much. It allows the other guy to clamp down your elbows and keep you there and waste a lot of time, and hopefully for him to get to a stalemate. So you do want to release one of your underhooks when you do have the option, when you have the opportunity. And this would be an opportunity when he lets go of your elbow. And when he's going up to a front, or when he's getting up to a stance, that's another opportunity to attack low. So here, once he starts to stand up, you can keep pressure down, let go of an underhook, and let his head pop and attack underneath him. And letting the head pop in this situation, like he'll get back to his stance quickly, and you'll still be underneath him. So hopefully it'll be an easy high crotch or an easy ankle pick to the far side if you do that. So there's an opportunity for that as well. Just holding on to these underhooks, though, is kind of dangerous. I think eventually, especially if you throw your hips in here, he'll be able to get to a high crotch and then maybe a double and then drive you over regardless of the fact that you have these 2 underhooks. So you do have to be careful here in this situation. Once it gets to this point, honestly, start slamming his head down, start trying to get him back down to the mat where you can start to work here again. And he let go of your left elbow, the elbow on the right side, and that would be another opportunity for you to let go of this side, get a little bit of an angle, and look for a shot on the far side or the near side with your underhook. You don't need to hold on to this front headlock the entire time, especially with double unders. There's not much you can realistically do with double underhooks. So getting a little bit of freedom here, getting a little bit of distance here, and then attacking could be the right call. See what you do. It looks like you're kind of just hanging out. You're reaching under for a leg, which is going to be difficult to do. It looks like you're slipping this arm out a little bit, your left arm. You can reach across to his far leg with your inside arm, but you do have to make sure you have good control of his head or the top shoulder. So sometimes wrestlers will have an overhook here with that left arm. They'll have an overhook, and then they'll reach across to the far leg, or they'll just have a good grip of the head. You can go like arm straight across his neck, hand straight, arm straight across his neck. Your forearm right here, the inside, this bone right here will be across his throat, which will be uncomfortable, and so it'll be hard for him to get him off your head. And then this inside arm can reach across to the far leg, and you can just run it through for the cradle on the far side. So it's like an inside knee pick or an ankle pick, inside ankle pick. You get out to the far side, and then you lock your hands around like this. And this is a very dangerous thing as well. So it seems like a tight grip that you have because you have it all locked up. But it's also an opportunity for this guy to overhook your elbow and then throw you through. So you want to be careful in this situation right here. If he has a mind to it, he'll take this right arm and he'll just overhook. He'll slide his left knee underneath and pop his head out, and you'll be in a very bad position. So you do want to be careful of this. And again, like holding on to this situation right here with the front headlock, you dig yourself deeper into this front headlock, which allows him to hold on a little bit easier. You do want to be shallow with your hands with a front headlock. It allows you so much more motion, so much more movement, and a lot more attacks if you are shallow with a front headlock. So like your right arm shouldn't be all the way dug underneath where he can grab your elbow. It should be closer to, your hand should be closer to the chin, although honestly you can sneak that up even further to keep your elbow up more, and that'll give you more room to attack the far side, and it'll make it harder for him to grab your elbow, and then your left arm could be attacking. One way or another, you could be pushing this arm down right now and looking for like an arm drag to an outside single to an outside shot. I may have spoke of this in the previous video, but usually I want our wrestlers to use the front headlock to attack the legs and then get their takedown through that method. It's very difficult just to jump around someone, circle around someone, and it's very difficult to bully someone around in this position. Because you have a head and arm, so there's an opportunity for you to go like assassin. Like say if you take your right leg and you throw that on this side and then you throw him to his back. It's kind of like a chin whip. There is that opportunity, but it seems to be less and less effective the older you get. So be careful with this kind of a situation here. It looks like you're just going to push him off the mat and get your clean start. But again, that's like another time where you could have snapped his head to the left and attacked the right side and looked for either a cradle or a shot to shoot him out of bounds, which tends to be an easy way to get takedowns. If you get to a shot in this position and you push him out of bounds and he runs out of bounds, a lot of times people come up with takedowns in that situation, like if you are able to attack both legs, both ankles. So Try to use this position against the guy. There is also an opportunity for you to jump behind him. I mean, this is very tight right here. This is very close quarters, very tight right here. But there is an opportunity for you to jump behind the guy and get like locked hands. Locked hands is legal and neutral, so it's a very important tool to use. That fact. Be careful with this too, because I've been called for unsportsmanlike, flagrant, by having this lockup right here. So I had my elbow held in this arm. My left arm was over top of his back, and a referee called me for unsportsmanlike or unnecessary roughness or whatever. So be careful about that as well. Let's see what you do. So I want you to move forward and crowd quickly. When the whistle blows, I want you to start moving forward. Keep your hands down so you're able to catch any shots coming from the outside, but I want you to move forward as the whistle blows, or when the whistle blows. And that's an opportunity for you to attack when somebody stands up like this. This right here happens a bunch when you're wrestling kids. And if you're moving forward and he starts to do this, it's a great time to go like a blast double where you just do a deep penetration step and you reach for the legs. It is an opportunity to do that. And then if he sprawls, you can deflect and use his sprawl against him. That kind of deal. You can go into underhooks or whatever and get out to the side and use those. So if you were moving forward, if you were closer to him, it would be easier to do that. Right now you kind of can't. Also be aware of when people stand up straight like this. When they get back to their stance, they tend to step, and that step can be used against him. So when they step, you can go low leg single, you can go outside single. And right here, you see him cross his feet when he gets back to his stance. So if you're paying attention to this little point right here, like say he got out of his stance, he's going to get back to his stance, you start moving forward, you start looking for this low ankle, like a low leg single or maybe a low double or something like that. Especially with him crossing his feet like that. It could be very difficult right now if you attack low. It'll be very difficult for him to sprawl back because his feet are crossed. In general, in this sport, you don't want to cross your legs like this when you're in your stance. You want to do like, stagger. You want to keep your feet apart, so you want to do like more of a strafing motion instead of like your legs crossing. But still, when he gets out of his stance, as soon as he's getting back into his stance is a perfect time to attack from the outside. Lowering your elevation when your opponent lowers his elevation is very important as well. And the older you get, the more experience you get with the sport, you can start to really predict it more and more. When somebody lowers their elevation, they're usually shooting. There's not much other reason for doing that unless they're faking a shot. So either way, you should be reacting, whether he's faking or whether he's actually shooting. You should react so that shots from the outside don't catch you by surprise. So like him going like that and lowering his elevation should make you lower your elevation, have you take your legs back and throw head position in his neck to try to block him a little bit with your head. So you're blocking with your head, with your elevation change, with your feet being back, and trying to get a down block here or there. So there's like 3 points of the main, the first line of defense is your head position, your level change, and your hands, like down blocks. And if you can get head position and level change, the down blocks don't seem to matter that much. So trying to get at least 1 or 2 of those 3 is important. Which this is sometimes difficult to time, like a sprawl when people take shots from the outside. But you do want better head position in order to stop that easier. So that would mean like when he lowers like this to go underneath you, you take your head and you spike it right into his neck so that he will push you away from him and you'll be able to block him a little bit easier. It'll be easier to get to your sprawl and everything. Him getting that underhook and digging on, looks like he has an overhook. Him getting that overhook and digging on the inside like that and getting underneath you a little bit is dangerous. Right now he's going to be going for like a fireman's carry, or it's going to look more like a dump. He's going to take you over to the side and try to take you to the left. In this case right here, it looks like you're about to get taken down, which is unfortunate. There are a couple things you can do about this position right here when the guy has this fireman's carry. So number 1 is you can try to stand him up. And that's what I would try to do initially, is try to use my underhook to lift him up. He wants to take you to the left over here, so you want to take him over to your left, to the right, like closer to the camera. So if you use your underhook and start lifting that up and you step your feet in, you have the opportunity of taking him backwards and hooking his near leg. This near leg of his, you can hook his near leg with your 2 feet to take him backwards and try to chop him on his back, or try to just get a takedown with a leg in. You can do that. There's one. The other thing you can try to do is step over, but that would be more applicable when the guy has the far leg and not the near leg. This is more of a fireman's carry with him having your right leg over here. If he has your other leg, you have an opportunity to step over as he tries to take you over, so you would circle hard to your left. So that's possible as well. Another thing that's possible that I've been working on a little bit recently is when somebody starts to go fireman's carry like this, doing a forward roll in this direction towards that right side. So if you use your right foot to launch yourself over to the other side, you can get him to roll through, which would then hopefully get you back to a sprawl position, or even you can trap him on his back if you do that. So you would just kind of do a forward roll in this direction, like forward towards his right arm, towards the direction that he's trying to take you. A lot of times in this sport, if somebody tries to take you in a certain direction and you push them through that direction faster, they often overshoot where they're trying to go. So if somebody has a 2-on-1, they're trying to roll you through for a hazard. If you roll through faster, you're more likely to get through to your base than if you try to slow everything down and stop the motion. So that concept also applies to fireman's carries, dumps, and mixers and other things like that, where somebody tries to roll you through. So just jumping through here could work as well. So there's two different things you can do in this position, and then one thing you can do if the guy has the outside leg, the dump. All of these things have to be done very, very quickly and with a lot of power, because he is attacking and going smoothly through this shot, this takedown, and you need to try to stop him, slow him down, and try to reattack in some way as soon as possible. There's also the opportunity of you trying to get an underhook with your left arm. That one's tough to get quickly because you're over top of his arm. You're over top of his body with almost like a chest wrap. Getting underneath that arm could help as well, but it's going to be difficult to get quickly. It is something where once you hit here and he sweeps up for your hip, if you're digging for an underhook right now and he sweeps under for your hip, you can catch a cement job. So that's something you might want to look for as well. Your left arm catching underneath his arm, going for a cement job as he tries to take you over. Because right now he's going to sweep his arm up as he slams your shoulder to the mat. His right arm is going to sweep up to your body. So if you can go underhook with your left arm, it would be an easy cement job. You take him right to his back. It's something that you might want to look for if you're in this kind of a situation. Right now, there's not much you can do. Maybe you can jump over top, like I was saying before, and try to initiate that roll. But there's so much pressure here with this dump, with your shoulder being on the mat, that it's going to be tough to do much of anything at this point. You're just going to try to circle away, maybe catch a head and arm here to prolong your time as you try to work for something else. I don't know. But holding on to this far arm, the head and arm doesn't tend to do much, so it is what it is. You got taken down. So you work from here. He's got your elbow. You have to get your elbow free, because him having this elbow is very, very annoying. And it does look like you get your elbow free, but yeah. Okay, so him going down to this bow and arrow here, you get your wrist out to the left, which is good because you should be able to block him from getting this arm lever unless he takes your arm out and digs your elbow out a little bit, and that's going to be really uncomfortable, but, you know, it is what it is. You do stop him from getting that, but he does get the 2-on-1. Or he's getting an arm bar right here. That's very typical when people chop. They like to get arm bars. So when somebody chops you down here, looks like you grab his leg, which isn't... Grabbing that leg with your arm isn't really going to help you out too much. It actually holds you down. Usually in this sport, we tell wrestlers to never reach back, never... I was going to say never look back, but we tell wrestlers to never reach back and try to grab a leg like this. You want to stand up and get a stand up, post the wrist, and cut, and get one. Grabbing a leg like this typically just holds you down tighter, so doing that's not a great idea. He has the chop, and he's digging an arm bar. So one of the better things you can do here is to start trying to circle your hips out. So try to get your left leg free and try to scoot your hips down and try to start circling out to the side, looking for a peek out or a Peterson. You can do that when people chop you. Oftentimes when they chop, they give you more momentum to head in that direction for that peek out or that Peterson. That is, of course, unless he has a really, really tight waist, then it's tougher to actually get your hips out to the side. but that's what you would try to do. Reaching back to this leg may make it easier for him to get the armbar as well, because when you're reaching, your arms are separated from your chest. And in situations like this, you do want to try to keep your arm like tight to your chest or tight to your leg, so it's harder for him to just pull your arm back and get the armbar. Usually on bottom, you want to fight things before they are an issue. Fight things as early as possible. And right now, his chop is not the concerning thing, and armbar is a concerning thing. Because once he gets an armbar locked up, it's tougher to get free. So you do want to defend that armbar as a guy chops as much as possible. So you can throw your hip down, throw your left hip down, and start running your feet out to the side. It shouldn't be easy for him to keep your leg controlled because your hip is down. You can scoop both legs out to the side. You can start running, grab wrist control, and start looking for a peek out or Peterson. Holding onto this leg is really keeping you in a bad position here. And once you let go of the leg, your hips drop, but this is the time where he's getting the armbar, so things get rough. This is still a point where you can start to run out to the side for the peek out or the Peterson, though. Once he has that bar control, try to post your hand to the mat and push away from it. That'll give you strength to break free from the armbar. It's either that or you start looking to get a reversal here. Looks like he's about to get you over with it, which is unfortunate. Once a guy has that arm lifted up, you want to try to like stretch your arm out to the sky a little bit and start prepping to sit underneath him, which is a viable reversal in this position. So this right arm will be posting on the mat, the elbow will be posting, and the left arm will be pushing to the sky, and you'll be trying to get him to, we're trying to do a switch really, but trying to get him to fall backwards. You want to get to that point as soon as you can. So you would get there right here. When he gets the bar, you start trying to lift your arm up and start trying to take him backwards. That may be a way of getting free, especially if he doesn't keep good forward pressure. In order for somebody to stop that little switch from the armbar, they have to keep your head on the mat. They have to keep good forward pressure. And there aren't that many wrestlers that are really good at doing this, especially at this stage. In college, I would imagine they're better at doing that. But at this stage in the game, they're not that great. Wrestlers are not that great at keeping forward pressure with an armbar. And so that opportunity to do a switch is there quite often. But he has that armbar, he starts to walk over it. You do have to roll through with it. He doesn't have control of your far side, which really your opponent should be digging for an underhook or at the very least a wrist. On the far side, he can get a wrist, underhook, or a half Nelson. And if he doesn't have any of those with his right arm, then it's easier for you just to roll through like you do, which will get you off your back. His tight waist may be enough to get you back to your stomach, so you do have to be careful of that. And there's nothing you can really do about that at this point. If he gets his head up and gets his hips back and has a good tight waist, he can actually pull you to your back and keep you there. So it is something that's concerning, but there's not much you can do about it. You do get off your back. You do fight off without giving up any points, so that's good. And right here, he's got a really good tight waist, which does make a lot of things tough. Like, he can grab your top shoulder and pull you to the right and tilt you with this tight waist. He can just grab a chop and tight waist tilt you as well because his tight waist is so tight. You do need to try to get that tight waist looser if you can. Getting to a sit-out might help, or doing a changeover may help as well. And then again, there's a peek out Peterson that's available here by sliding your knees, your legs out to the side. But that's really tough when a guy has a really tight waist, like I mentioned before. So, it is what it is. Keeping yourself in a good base and trying to work your hips up. Now, going from this position where you're on your hips straight up to your base, like just pushing up in a push-up position, is not the easiest thing. And a lot of times wrestlers will throw legs in when you do that. So you got to be careful with just pushing straight up. One way you can accomplish that is by throwing a knee under. So you would do the knee that's closest to him, your left knee over here, the knee on the right would slide under. You'd go to your hip a little bit, slide your knee under, and then try to get to a sit out and maybe a stand up right away. But you can go from this position to a stand up in 2 steps if you get your knee underneath you. So just sliding one knee underneath the near knee, the knee that's on the same side as him, sliding that knee underneath will help you build your base a little bit easier, maybe without less damage. Because this is a place where a lot of wrestlers will start to look to throw legs in and whatnot. You do have to get back to your base. You have to start standing up as soon as possible and try to keep legs out while you're doing that, which really means keeping your knees up to your chest whenever possible. You want to stay in a bit of a ball when you're on bottom. You want to keep your knees closer to your chest. You want to stay more compact. You don't want to be in a full ball where you can't actually roll, like a really tight one. You want to be in a place where you can move around, but still, like, keeping your knees up will stop legs from getting in, which is very, very important because more and more people are riding legs. I probably said this before in a different video. More and more kids are riding legs nowadays, so it's important that you do a good job of trying to keep legs out all the time. Because once somebody gets a leg in like this, it's oftentimes very difficult to get free from here. They'll start putting pressure, getting figure four, start reaching and attacking the far side. They may start trying to do power halves, throwing 2 legs in. Things can get very messy very quickly if you let them. So be careful here. Like right now, it looks like he's going to try to start going for a power half on the right side. Which he doesn't. Like, he doesn't keep good hip pressure. Right now, he should be trying to throw the far leg in. If he's trying to go power half here, he should be throwing the far leg in, locking his feet up, not having his leg laced around your leg, but more of like having a figure four and putting pressure to the far side and looking to use that power half, a cross face, or looking to throw the other leg in so he can break you down further and get a better power half. Right now, him just keeping his leg laced around your leg isn't really helping him out too much. And actually, it helps anchor him to the right side. So you can throw your right hip down to push him into a crab ride situation and then take his legs out and then work your way out of a crab ride and get free that way. Oftentimes, getting out of leg riding means getting out of leg riding means forcing a crab ride and then using that against him. There's not that many leg riders are comfortable with crab rides, and they'll try to take you back to your stomach, back to your base as soon as possible. And if you can keep him there in a crab ride and you can work his legs out and use his legs against him, it's a great way of getting free there. Once you're stable and he has a leg in, like, especially if he doesn't have a crossface here, start to look to switch. Like, why not? That could be a way of getting free. You do want to try to fight here as quick as possible. You don't want this process to prolong. You have 15 seconds left of the period. Getting an escape here would be huge for the match. So you do want to try to get your escape as soon as possible. Don't get into a mode where you're passive and you're just kind of hanging out waiting for the period to end. You do want to get an escape. You do want to try to be the last person to score if you can. It looks like you're prepping for the switch. It looks like you're going up to a 4-point stance right here. And that could be so you're trying in an effort to shake him off, to get him too high to get a reversal real quick. But sometimes that'll be dangerous. If he reaches across that far cradle, you're going to put yourself in a bad position if he actually locks it up and gets it. Against a longer, like a lankier wrestler, that may be possible, so be careful there. Force a crab ride. You can also try to get your leg free, so you can straighten this right leg out and just kind of mule kick your leg. So kick your leg straight out, and then it'll pop his leg out, and then you can start to use your toe, your foot, to dig his leg out further. Try to use your legs against his legs as much as possible. A lot of times when people are getting ridden out with leg riding, they don't actually use their legs against their opponent. They're trying to just kind of, get back to their base through sheer power of will. Or they're trying to just, make the guy's hips fall. They're not really solving the issue at hand, which is the fact that the guy has a leg in. So if you can get his leg out, that's one of the better ways of dealing with leg riding. It should be an obvious point at this juncture, but getting his leg out is the easiest way of dealing with this situation. Trying to roll around with him and everything is not going to work out too much. And honestly, against me, getting up to your hands and your feet right here and getting a high stance, then trying to Granby roll against me personally is not going to do too much. Against good leggers is not going to do too much. There is the opportunity of, as you do your Granby roll, he kind of bails and you get free or get a reversal, but that's usually not against good leggers. See what happens here. So you do that. We used to call it a kamikaze. You do that Granby roll, and he doesn't roll through with you, which gets your leg out. That's a perfect opportunity for you to start working out of this crab ride and trying to get one. Looks like he's just kind of hanging on. You just kind of grab his head. There maybe was an opportunity for you to go overhook here and start to get back to a sprawl position and get back in front of him. He does have your leg controlled a little bit, so that makes it tough. And he may just lift his head up and go cement job, but still. Holding on to his head here and not progressing from there doesn't really give you much more to work with. The Granby roll can work from there. It's just usually you have to have something good to follow it up with. Like just a good stand up to your feet right here may be worth. Honestly, you could get up to like your base up to your feet here and then just try to cut. He does have a leg controlled, so that would be easier for him to like lift the leg and get you back to your base. But if you cut in the right direction, you might be fine there. Because he doesn't have too much control of you with that leg inverted and a tight waist. It's good that you kept fighting. Try not to let legs in as much as possible. Once you let legs in, things get very, very difficult, which is unfortunate. He defers and you go down, which is typical. That's normal when you're down 2-0 and it's the second period and you're forced to make a decision, so the guy defers to you. Taking bottom is a good call, especially in the last period. It looked like you would have gotten free if you had a little bit more time, so I'd say that's a good idea. I'd say it's a good call. You have a lot of time to work here. You have 1:30 to get free, hopefully get an escape, a reversal, or an escape and a takedown. You go right to your Granby roll again. It does look like you like to do that Granby roll. Make sure you try to clear your feet more when you do it. I spoke about this a little bit in the last video. Try to get both feet out to the side. So when you get your hips up, throw both feet out to the side and push off of the far one and then do your Granby roll. It might be worth it also to just take your left foot out to the side. So you can get both feet out and then take your left foot farther, because you only need one foot to push off of. Your right foot is the only one you need to push off of, and this right foot should be over here where my cursor is. Your left foot should be even farther if possible, or at least right where it is. You do need to clear your feet as much as you can when you do a Granby roll. So the first step would be like to get your hips up. It does help, but then the second step would be to get your feet out to the side and then push off of it as quick as you can. So this Granby roll, it can catch a lot of guys by surprise, and better wrestlers do tend to have an easier time rolling through with it or catching that near leg with a leg lock, but still, you do need to clear your feet more when you go, because here getting your leg locked up with his gives him the opportunity of rolling through. Now he's doing a pretty bad, in my opinion, no offense, he's doing a pretty bad job of rolling through. Unfortunately, he does get all the way to the far side, so that's good. There is an opportunity for you to grab a Peterson or grab the bottom leg. So like right here, if you, as you're rolling, he catches your leg and he rolls through with you, if you're able to hook this bottom leg with your hand, you'll be able to keep him on his hip when you get to the far side. And then you can lift the ankle up for like a leg half, or just keep the ankle controlled and lean in and go cross face to get a reversal here. So there is that opportunity. You would have to catch it mid-roll, which makes that kind of tough. Catching things mid-roll tends to be difficult. But if you're aiming for it, you'll see it and you'll be able to catch it. And you'll be able to come up with it a little bit easier. He rolls through, which is, good for him. Good wrestlers are going to be able to roll through with a Granby roll. And right after you get back back to your base on the Granby roll, try to do a stand-up. Keeping motion going is important as a bottom wrestler. So as soon as you get back to your base, try to pop up real quick. Granby roll to a stand-up if you can. So right here is an opportunity for you to come up. He doesn't have too much pressure yet. He doesn't have an arm bar or a chop or anything. So it's a great opportunity for you to come up to your stance. It looks like you do try to, but your hands are on the mat still. So that makes it difficult. If you pop right up, hands up and everything, it should be easier, like pressure back. It should be easier to get up to your feet. It looks like you do try to get up to your feet, but you don't have enough pressure backwards. So he drives pressure forward and chops you down to your stomach again, which is unfortunate. Again, he's chopping, so that's an opportunity for you to either go changeover or for you to go peek out Peterson. You do want to do things that defend this chop. And a lot of times in this sport, you want to go with pressure. So if you can run your hips out to the side and go peek out a Peterson, that's good. But just trying to push yourself up, brace, and power through the chop tends to be ineffective. Usually wrestlers, I think, are stronger in this top position than you will be pushing up like that. And so that's why a lot of people will hold people down with a chop and a tight waist, just because the other guy is fighting the momentum or fighting the pressure directly. And they're not actually using other things, other techniques to get free. So they're not running out to the side. They're not putting the other guy in an awkward position where they have to catch up. Again, he gets the leg in. And again, the answer to that is to not let the leg in at all, so to keep your knees up more. It looks like he's getting the leg in right here. Maybe he has a leg locked up already. No, I don't think so. He pretty much sneaks the leg in as he transitions from one side to the other. And so that means that you didn't have your knee forward. You didn't have your knee up. Maybe you're on your right hip, so your left leg is up more, but keep your right knee up so he doesn't throw his leg in so easily. You don't want the leg to go in. That makes it so much more difficult to get free. And a lot of good wrestlers are getting really good at legs. So keeping the legs out is super important. You throw him to his hip right here, which is good. Start taking the legs out. Start digging at the ankles and taking the legs out if you can. Oh, it looks like his leg came out and you started doing that. Cool. Cool. Right hip down. You start attacking the leg and taking it out. Awesome. So be careful when you lift that leg. You do want to keep it closer to his butt so that it doesn't get potentially dangerous. This is a good time for you to elevate the ankle and start getting height. But if you keep the ankle to the side too much, his knee's going to tweak out and the referee's going to stop the match. And you don't want the referee to stop the match at this point because it is a good time for you to get an escape or a reversal. There is the opportunity of you letting go of this ankle and going towards his head, getting like a Merkle position where you lock a head and arm, lock your hands around his head and arm, and then try to throw your near leg in, which is an easy takedown / reversal. So there is the opportunity of doing that in this case. Right now, all he has is your leg. So I would look to do that. Unfortunately, holding onto this ankle gets the match stopped. And that is an opportunity for you to get an escape or a reversal. So you do want to take advantage of that. Pulling his ankle out and hurting his knee a little bit might make him weaker for the match, but odds are it doesn't. Usually it doesn't really do too much to stop people from being effective. It just gives him a 30-second break, and his knee's fine afterwards. So trying to keep the other guy safe in an effort to get more points is sometimes really, really important. So you're back down. And that's like another problem with the potentially dangerous and the referee resetting the match is, well, now you start from scratch again, which is annoying. Ooh, this time you do go to a sit out, but he's able to chop you down. So he's able to chop you down because your hips are low to the mat. Also, his tight waist is kind of tight. What you would want to do is get your hips higher and start running your feet as much as you can. And being on your elbow there doesn't tend to help. Like right now, being on your left elbow as you're trying to do this peek out in Peterson will give up a wrist control and it'll make it easier for the guy to chop. So you want to try to get your hips up higher and you want to get your chest lower, which means usually I would drop to my left shoulder here in this case and try to lift the tight waist. If his tight waist is around your chest, it's much less effective than if it's around your waist. So you try to lift that tight waist hand up, that tight waist wrist up, and throw your left shoulder to the mat and start trying to book it to the right, book it around this corner here. Try to get out to the side and try to get moving as much as possible. Because your elbow, your arm position will slow you down, and him having a tight waist around like the bottom of your stomach will make it so you can't run away. So that's unfortunate that you get chopped right down to your base again. So there's just a couple things to clean that up a little bit. And it looks like you try to do it again, but same kind of a scenario. Right now you are on your shoulder, so it does look like it's a little bit tougher. Unfortunately, he has a better tight waist at this point, and so it's harder to get free, and also he's got your leg locked up a little bit. So that's where the tight waist, lifting that wrist up, will come in handy as you're trying to circle out to the side. And then getting back to your stomach is not a good situation. If you can, try to stay in a ball here and try to go back to your base instead of going to your stomach. There's going to be times when going back to your stomach is a good idea, but if you can get back to your base quickly, then I would rather you do that. He's really looking for that armbar. Now, somebody like this really looking for an armbar, you can try to limp your arm out. You can try to take your elbow back and up and limp your arm free and start standing up. Because he's got a hook on your arm, he doesn't really have a grip of it. He's just got a hook. It's easy to slip out through this little part. It is kind of dangerous because people are able to catch it sometimes, but you'd want to do that. You'd want to slip your arm free. You can fight it directly like that, I guess. Referee calls stalling, which is kind of interesting to me. You are fighting. You're fighting the armbar, and it's not like you're not working up. That stall call is kind of unwarranted, in my opinion. I imagine he called you stalling because you were on your stomach and you're just kind of holding, but you're fighting an armbar. Like, what else does he want you to do? Okay. Choices that referees make are very interesting to me. That doesn't seem like a position that warranted a stall call. It's not like you were on your stomach for very long. So you get back up to your base, which is good, but his leg gets back in, which is not good. And right now he doesn't have a leg in at all. It seems to be when he throws you to your left hip, he's able to get the leg in. And that's also because you're on your side or on your hips, on your side, going back to your stomach. Your legs are stretched away from your chest, which allows him to get that leg in. You don't want legs in. That's bad. You can reach and grab that far ankle and then do a switch. That is true. Referee calling a potentially dangerous for that. Yikes. All right, so you have to really keep this safe. If the referee thinks that you're wrenching this ankle up at all to hurt his knee, then referee's going to stop the match. And this is another perfect opportunity to get a reversal. And if you already tweaked the guy's knee out, the referee may be more cautious about the whole knee situation. So you have to be careful about this kind of thing. You do want to keep this close to his butt. You don't want the referee to stop the match. This is a great chance for you to get a reversal here. So you want to try to keep things straight, keep things legal. Let's say. There's also an opportunity when you grab this ankle. It looks like you see it come around the bend. There's also an opportunity when you grab this ankle to pull it under you and to like throw him down to the right and then lift the ankle up in crossface when you get to the other side. So grabbing that ankle is a really good call. But try to keep things safe. Try to keep things so the referee doesn't stop the match, because that's another opportunity to get a reversal that you didn't get to actually use. And honestly, pulling his knee out again so that he's hurt again isn't going to affect the match too much. Like, he's unhappy, but usually when you hurt the kid, they're more aggressive and they're more resilient to injuries. Adrenaline starts to pump a little bit more, which makes them not feel their injury a little bit more and makes them a little bit more energetic, more aggressive, and gives them more energy. You don't really want to hurt people on purpose. And not for like, don't teach kids to hurt kids, but also you don't want the match to get stopped, and you don't want the other guy to be any more aggressive than he already is. If you can keep him calm, that's a good thing because it's easier to do stuff. You don't want his adrenaline flowing even further. So same kind of a situation getting ridden out here. There's not much too different going on. He's still chopping, still trying to get to that wrist. There was an opportunity right there for you to limp your arm out and go to a switch or maybe a changeover. Like right here is changeover city, where you post this arm out and you try to do a changeover. And then when you get to this position right here, the only thing that's stopping you from going up and getting your reversal is this arm that's still straight. So take your hand and put it behind your back here and kind of just limp your arm. Let your arm go limp and start working your way on top. By keeping your arm straight here, it allows him to pull your wrist back this way in this direction, which allows him to take you back to your stomach, which is obviously not great. This is another opportunity for you to get a reversal that you weren't unfortunately able to get. You just need to make your arm go limp. He's not going to be able to push too hard with his tight waist. If you have any grip of anything with your right arm, you should be fine to push yourself over to that side, especially if you scoot your hips out to the left a little bit and your right arm goes limp behind your back. Then you can get your reversal. A lot of times you do want to let things go limp so that you can get them out of danger or get them out of position. Bump, bump, bump. But he's still going back to this chop. Try to get to a stand-up, even if it doesn't do much. It looks like you're getting back up to your stance and you're just trying to withstand the chop. Try to start standing up. This might also be another time for a good Granby if you can get your feet out first, because he is chopping really hard. He is chilling on this tight waist chop the entire time. Well, not the entire time because he's riding legs too, but he's chilling on that chop and that arm for a lot of the match. And then he drops to an ankle. This should be as a referee, you should see this and instantly call stalling. I wouldn't give him too much time here if he drops to an ankle. I don't understand why they do. Maybe there's a rule where 10 seconds is the rule and then you get to call stalling. But still, if as a referee I know he's obviously just dropping to a leg to stall, I would bang him for a stall call. Right here when you start to kick away and he's kind of just getting drug along the mat. Why wouldn't you call stalling here? Especially when the referee called stalling so easily before. Alright, he does call stalling. Okay, good. That's what I wanted to see from the referee. I wanted to see a little bit of a stall call, because the stall call that he called on Chase, on you, was really quick. He should have done the same thing for the other case as well. I'm okay with referees being a little bit quick on calls or being a little bit like that's a weird call that he made. As long as they're consistent for both parties, I'm okay with that. But if they're consistently bad for one kid and consistently good for another kid, that's when you start to raise your eyebrow. He called me for stalling when I was flat for 2 seconds, but he didn't call the other guy for stalling when he went down to an ankle and just held on for 5 seconds. That kind of stuff really irritates me. as a coach. And as a referee, you should try to as a referee, you should really try to stay consistent and try to get better at your job. Use everything. Like, this is me giving advice to referees. Whenever somebody like yells at you or somebody like tries to give you advice about a call you make, try to understand where they're coming from and why they would say that. If they have no wrestling background, then I guess they have no say with the calls that you make. But me, for example, I've wrestled for like, I don't know, 16 years before I was done with the sport. And coaching means that I wrestled for even longer. So it's important that you take someone's advice that has been in the sport their entire life over your own when it comes to the calls that you make. Some referees just jump into the sport and make whatever call they feel like. And then like they're kind of ruining it for kids. Kids expect a certain like decorum from referees, a certain accuracy from them. And when you're not accurate as a referee, it's really tough for kids to deal with. You're going for your cradle again, which you've done in the previous matches. And that's a good thing to get, like, you know, a pin or back points here. And it looks like you're not going to let him up to take him down, so I'm hoping that you do get back points. As a coach, usually we will decide one way or another if we think you should try to take him down twice and send it into overtime. Or, wait, take him down twice and you would actually win, wouldn't you? Yeah. Take him down twice and you could win the match that way. Because trying to turn someone that's pretty good in the last period when you only have a minute 30 is very, very difficult. Trying to turn good wrestlers is difficult in general. And it's pretty easy for people to stall. And he's not going to get 2 stall calls by the end of the match. A lot of referees don't call stalling that quickly. And honestly, like as a referee at this point, as long as he's fighting back up to his base, you can't really call him for stalling. If he's just laying there and basing out and not trying to do anything, you can. You can bang him. Yep. So that's what the referee does. Bangs him for the stall call, gives the point away. Will he give you another point by the end of this match? No, you get a cradle. Awesome. Cool. So he's flat. You're going crossface. Still looking for that cradle. Wow, the way he came back up to his base is unfortunate for the bottom guy. Because his knee was up. That's perfect for your cradle. And now that you have the cradle, hopefully you get him over to his back. You do. Cool. Alright, that's good. And you pinned him. Nice. That a boy. All right, that's good. So that was a good call to keep you on top and try to let you get some back points here. The way he came up to his base is unfortunate for him because he was flattened out, and you got that crossface. He was flattened out. You got that crossface. He came up with his right leg, and that's where the cradle is. Nice. So, the one thing, as far as this power half is concerned, it's good that you kept trying to get your cradle because it won the match. But as far as this power half is concerned, this kind of a power half is very difficult to get. And it's very easy for the other guy to chop it down, especially when you have, like, your left leg in. This leg over on this right side, your left leg is in. I don't think it's in right now, but it looks like you're trying to do a little bit of a power half with keeping the other side controlled, which tends to be very difficult because you're fighting yourself. So if you have this leg in over on this side and you're doing a power half on the other side, you're kind of fighting yourself, which makes it difficult to get him to his back because his back only bends so much. Like, say my hand is his back, it only bends so much, so trying to get that accomplished is difficult. If you really want to get this power half, you can keep your knee where it is. You can throw your other leg over top, like put your heel right above his hip bone and squeeze your knee and your heel together because your legs aren't really in, and you can start to really take this power half forward and then take it over. You want his arm to be like right along his head when you do a power half. So you'd want to like grab his wrist, make him limp his arm out, and then take his elbow right up to his head so you can make a use of that. So getting that power half there is going to be very difficult unless you get the other leg in. It does look like you have a leg in. Cool. And you hooking this leg with your right leg as well is a very, I want to say a high-level technique too when it comes to leg riding because this allows you to get your cradle a little bit easier. So this is something that I may have recommended in a previous video, or this might be the first time I'm talking about it, but having a leg in or hooking the leg with the other leg, like above the knee, gives you a lot of control over this near leg and allows you to get that far cradle a little bit better. And if you watch like David Taylor wrestle in college, because he's, you know, freestyle. He wrestles in freestyle now, so you don't really see him ride legs too much anymore. A lot of it's neutral, but if you see him wrestle in college, especially his last couple of years, he got a lot of cradles out of this kind of position, where he had this leg, the near leg, locked up. After he got a crossbody ride in, he transferred his other leg in above the knee, and it tends to give you a little bit more room, a little bit more of an angle to get that crossface cradle, which is cool. All right. All right, this match took a long time, so I'm going to cut it here, but that's awesome that you're able to get this cradle, get the back point / pin, so I'm proud of you for that one. That's cool. That also means that you kept pushing the entire match, which is super important. You didn't give up. You didn't slow down or anything like that, because sometimes it's really evident when people slow down, they kind of give up and they stop trying so hard. So I'm happy that you did that. It's really cool. On to the next match. Okay, here we have match number 3 of this video. I think it's match number 7 altogether. So match number 3 of this video, Chase McCauley again in the silver with versus Jason Cricker. It's pretty cool. These are all people that I've never seen before. All of your opponents, so it's pretty interesting seeing all of their different styles and whatnot. So again, your hands are down, you learn your stance. That's good. This kid seems to be a little bit shorter, which means he's also probably going to be a little bit stronger unless he's outsized for his weight, like he weighed in light. Getting a front headlock is something that you do have to watch when you are low in the stance. There is the opportunity for someone to chop, club your head and go front headlock, so you do have to be careful here. And if somebody does go up to a chop here, there is an outside single that you can take on the right side, so look for that if you can. Like, as soon as he releases the mat with this hand and reaches for your head, I'll go outside single, attack that near leg on the same side that he's reaching with, because right here you would have collided with the leg and got to a pretty easy shot if you did that. Instead, he gets to a front headlock, which is not good. Try to get to some kind of control here, some kind of elbow control, some kind of wrist control. When you're on your feet, it's a little bit safer to go right to the wrist, even though posting that down may lead to an outside single for the other guy, but it will get your head out of there and allow you to hopefully get to an arm drag to a double or something. Otherwise, you want to get some kind of control over his elbow, so your left arm would be reaching up and trying to grab that elbow and control that, so that you can get some kind of control here, so it's harder for the other guy to sneak around you or get a shot or something like that. Looks like he did a pretty good job of getting an angle, but he didn't really attack your legs. Looks like he was just trying to circle around you. As far as the other guy's concerned, he should try to attack the legs here, because there are opportunities, so many opportunities when you're circling around someone to get a leg attack off. So it would have been good if he did that, but he didn't, so that's good for you. Again, he's reaching with his left arm. So odds are he's going to start reaching with that arm, or he's going to continue to reach with that arm the whole time, which allows you to get many things. Looks like you're going for an overtie. You have an overtie. I want you to try to use it as soon as you can. Like, grab the overtie, start circling towards it. You have the elbow that you can lift up and go outside single on that same side. You can grab the elbow over top and take it down through and kind of just do a shrug, a slide by. And you can always, like, try to do that slide by and he circles away and attack the far leg, like the outside single. Try to make use of this overtie as soon as you can. Now, if you're going to do a slide by, don't, like, just grab it and swipe it and take it, because odds are you'll slip off of it. Once you have control of it, though, try to use it. Your left arm can go up to the elbow, and you can start to try to use that against him. So you can use the overtie and the elbow control to circle to the left a little bit and try to make him step, and then you can attack the right side. That does give up a pass by on the other side, but a lot of wrestlers don't see that. So, but use this overtie, man. And if you don't use the overtie to use, like, some of the moves out of the overtie series, at least, like, pull pressure down. Try to snap him. Even though snapping him down and pulling pressure down, it may not do too much initially, but it does start to get his neck tired, his back tired, which starts to get him tired. And you'll see a lot of wrestlers in college and after, like, get tie-ups like this and just pull pressure down consistently, because getting your opponent tired throughout the course of a match is very important and useful. But try to use that overtie quickly. So you go to an underhook on the other side and he slips out of it pretty quickly, so there's not much you can do about that. He keeps on clubbing with his left arm, so start trying to, especially if you see it a couple times in a match, start trying to use that against him if you can. There's another opportunity to use the overtie, or to go outside single on the right side. You dig on the inside. You can go high crotch after you go inside control there, I guess. Doesn't look like... there's a bit of a shot. I would like to see a lot more shots out of you. Like, a lot more leg attacks. And that doesn't mean that you have to, like, dive at the guy all the time. Keep your head up, get a good penetration step going. You can keep yourself in great position as you attack, and it doesn't always give things up. Sometimes I fear that kids don't attack enough because they're scared to attack, because attacking means if they don't get it, they give up a takedown. But as long as you stay in good position, that should not be the case. Low leg single. You get to a low leg here. Try to get the head on the inside of the knee. Your head's on the outside of the knee right here, which makes it tough to put pressure into him. And if you use your right shoulder to push his leg down, it's going to put you into a crackdown position. If he knows how to defend using that, he'll go crotch lock and start scooting around the side. So try to get your head to the inside of the knee. Start driving the knee down, start lifting the ankle up to your chest, and start circling out to the side to go for the double. Just throwing your shoulder here gives up position for the other guy, because this is not a low leg single anymore. At this point, it's a high crotch, and it's a pretty low high crotch, which is easy to scoot around and defend. So you don't want to get to this point. Keeping that arm straight, your right arm straight, does help you keep him in front of you. You do want to try to keep his leg on your shoulder so that he can't scoot around as easily. And then hopefully you can pull the ankle out a little bit and then get your head back to the inside of his knee. If you could do that, it would be really, really good. Like, pull the ankle out a little bit, get your head back to the inside of the knee, and start trying to scoot your hips away from him, trying to get a little bit of distance so you can attack that far leg and get your double. There is the opportunity for you to jump over like that, but it does tend to be tough. One of the easier ways of doing this is to hold on to the leg with your left arm and hook the top arm with your other arm. Hold on to the leg with your right arm, I mean. Hook the other arm with your left arm. And so once you have that leg controlled and that arm controlled, you can keep it nice and tight. You can do that roll through to a double, or you can circle out to the side and jump straight over, like high bridge to a back bridge, and then turn towards the legs to get your double. Just jumping over his hips, if he keeps his knee close to his chest, which he does, just jumping over his hips won't do too much. Although this is like something you can do to get to that position I was saying before, like after you jump straight over him, get to the double. You can do this, but if he stays tight here with his knee, it makes it very, very difficult, so be aware. Then you roll through, which is unfortunate. When you do roll through and get to the other side, try to come up right away. If you can come up and lift him up here and try start going out the back door, you can start to improve your position quicker. Getting stuck right back into a crackdown kind of stinks. Your shoulder's still on his leg, though, so he's not going to get around you anytime soon, as long as you keep your shoulder into his hip. Here you can try to take him forward and try to pop your head out. That would be tough, maybe, but you can try to sneak your head out the near side. Pop your head out and try to come up on top. Otherwise, you do want to get height again. You want to come up with it. This crackdown is getting worse and worse for you, which is unfortunate. You can start to come up here like there. Grab the leg with your left arm and sneak your right arm out for a crossface. You do have the opportunity to do that for a split second. Just pushing into him is kind of awkward, but you do get points there, so you know, it is what it is. I'm not sure what your opponent's trying to do here. He should hold on to a crotch lock and try to lock his leg in and lock your leg up. If he's attacking that far side, he should be trying to grab the far ankle, lift it up, and almost like funk, try to get height with it. Looks like he got pretty sketched out through the course of this little roll. And he didn't know what to do, so he kind of bailed, which isn't good for him. So you get your takedown, you go back to that crossface cradle, which against a smaller guy, the cradle should be a little bit easier to get to. So that's cool. He may be able to stay more stable because he's probably strong, but since he's shorter, since he's smaller, the crossface cradle may work out a little bit better. It seems like you're doing a better job with these cradles in these matches. Maybe the kids are less experienced that you're wrestling, but it seems like you're doing a better job as the day went on, or the weekend went on. So that's good to see. You almost caught that cradle at the end of the period, so it doesn't matter too much, but that right here, this is a sign that this may happen again in the match. Like, he may make this misstep right here again in the match, and then you can catch your cradle. So that would be like a clear sign of saying, like, yeah, you know, keep going for it. You might get it. It's available, even if you didn't catch it here. It doesn't look like he's respecting your cradle very much, which he really should be if he saw you wrestle at all this weekend. He should be respecting your cradle. You already got a cradle with, like, against 2 different people. He does look a little strong, so certain things are going to be difficult. He's like, I go down? No, you don't go down. Chase go down. Caution for the top guy. So if he's going to go to the ankle right away, you would go knee up, head up, hopefully, so you don't get cradled. Knee up, post the wrist down, and stand up. You're in a lefty stand up, so you cut to the left. If he does that once, he may do it again, like right off the whistle, so you're prepared for it a little bit, or he might change what he wants to do because he already got cautioned there. So depending on how he sets up on top can give you a little bit of an understanding of where he's going to go. If he sets up a little bit differently, he's going to go somewhere else. But if he sets up exactly the same, he might go to the same place, which means you have an idea of what he's going to do, so you have an idea of what to do right off the whistle. So if he's going to go down to the ankle, you go knee up, grab the wrist, and post it. Humans are habitual. They tend to do the same thing over and over again. So thinking that he might do the same thing is not a terrible call. And he does look like he's setting up for it a little bit. Like he's out to the side a little. Looks like he's leaning over to the left a little bit. It looks like he's going to go for the ankle again, but who knows? We'll find out. Yeah, he goes for it again. So going for like a Granby roll when he's going for the far ankle may not be effective because he's looking to attack your legs. You're gonna get caught up. However, going knee up and grabbing the wrist and posting it will get you straight up to a stand-up. And it looks like he goes right to it again. Now, this right here, you might be able to kick over and roll him through, but he's got the leg control. He's going to pull it down. I think he'll be fine here. And so that's why you kind of get stuffed. That's where understanding, like, the fact that, number one, people are habitual. Like, you know, smokers have a hard time stopping smoking. Not so much because of the nicotine, but more so because of the habit they create. People are habitual. They'll do the same thing over and over again. So if he does that once, he does that twice, he might do it every single time the whistle blows. Like, every time he's on top, that's his breakdown. So being able to predict what he's going to do, or at least have an understanding of what his first move is going to do, and then... or what his first move is going to be, and then countering that immediately as the whistle blows can be very, very effective. If you know he's going to go to the ankle, knee up, post the wrist. Do that immediately. You'll have wrist control. You'll be up on your feet. Hopefully you'll be able to get to an escape pretty quickly. It looks like, so you do like to do the Granby roll, which can be something that people catch on to, and it looks like you do it regardless of the other circumstances in the match. Again, Granby roll does tend to work best early in the match or late in the match. So doing it like once in a match isn't a bad thing, but just understanding what may happen and whether you should do a Granby roll or not could be important. I just think if you have a plan, if you know the first thing that the top guy is going to do, you can kind of have an understanding, kind of have a plan of what your first move should be so that you can counter it immediately and start to get free. That would be effective. Other than just, okay, I like to do a Granby roll, so let's just try to do a Granby roll regardless of what the other guy might do. He throws the near leg in again, and I think, again, that's because you didn't keep your knees up to your chest. You are on your base or on your stomach right here, and if you push straight up, like I said before, if you push straight up, it gives the opportunity for someone to throw a leg in, which this is one of the more common ways of getting legs in when the guy pushes up from his stomach. So... tilt your hips a little bit, tilt towards him, throw your inside knee up, and then start to stand up from there. And that will not only stop him from getting a near leg in, which is what he does, but it'll stop many different things. It'll make your it'll make the process from getting to your stomach back to your base a little bit easier if you're able to do that. But you don't want legs in. Legs in are bad. Legs in are very bad. So there's the switch that you can do right away, especially like right here. The guy looks like he doesn't have an opportunity to go crossface right away. So the switch may help you out a lot. As soon as he gets the leg in, or as he's getting the leg in, you can start to sit your right hip down and throw your right leg underneath and do that switch. The left elbow goes in the back. You can come up on top. You can start to do that. Otherwise, you should be looking to reach back, grab the hip and throw it down, jump over, or grab the trail leg like you did in the previous match. Like, there's a bunch of things you can do to fight these legs directly. You could also try to just get your leg free. So your leg straightening out right here, it's just not straight enough. It needs to go a little bit straighter, and it should pop his toe off of your leg, and then you'll be able to dig the leg out. Try to get the leg out of there as soon as possible. Because once somebody has legs in, they can start to ride you out pretty easily if they know what they're doing. Right now, it looks like he's hooking the far arm. He's looking for either an arm bar or a ball and chain tilt. Maybe. What is he looking for? He's probably looking for an arm bar or a ball and chain tilt. He's looking for the guillotine, which tends to be less and less effective the older you get. The guillotine, or we called it a grapevine, where you grab the wrist, you take it over the head, and then you reach over his head. I actually stopped teaching that in the room just because it's not really that effective, and I see a lot of wrestlers get in trouble trying to do it. So we don't actually teach that, and we are like a leg riding oriented room, wrestling club, and we don't teach that move because it's very sketchy. Like, look how much trouble he's having even getting the arm lifted. There's a lot of points where you can limp your arm out and get free from it. He should honestly just keep the elbow in the back and go arm bar. And then if you're giving him trouble, he should reach for the ball and chain. Like this, it's a really difficult move to get against a good wrestler. And then this is another one that we stopped teaching, this spladle, this banana split situation. We've had so many wrestlers get in trouble trying to use this banana split or this spladle that we stopped teaching it in the room. It just doesn't seem to be effective against good wrestlers. You can straighten your leg out and try to get that free. You can also do this move where you stuff the elbow, throw your elbow down to the mat, and you sit to your hip and try to stuff his head underneath him. You can actually get a pin off of this situation if this other guy doesn't know what you're doing. So with your right hand, you grab his elbow, you stuff it underneath a little bit, you throw your elbow to the mat so you stay upright. You sit to your hip and you get your head up, and you try to shove his head underneath his body. And you can stick him there, at least get him to bail from the situation, but you might be able to pin him there as well. If you don't know what I'm talking about, just contact me or, ask or whatever. But this move right here tends to be not effective as well. He just gets stalemated. So now you're stalemated, you have a clean start. Odds are he's going to go back to the ankle because the ankle worked for him. So, plan ahead. Knee up, grab wrist, post. I mean, maybe he doesn't go back to the ankle. Maybe he switches it up, but that doesn't tend to be the case with kids, with people. People tend to do the same thing over and over again. And that's also why my advice is to switch up your breakdown as much as you can. Get a different breakdown every time you start a match or every time you start a go or whatever. Different breakdown, just so you keep your opponent guessing. It's hard for him to really defend if he doesn't know what's coming. Let's see if he goes down to the ankle again. It looks like he's prepping for it again. Look, he's out to the side a little bit. He's going to drop to the tight waist with his left hand. Right hand's going to go right to the ankle. Because of how he's lining up, it makes me think that he's going to do that again. It doesn't look like he has much pressure on you, and I can't see his hand position, but I imagine his hand is inverted like this on your elbow. Yeah, see, he goes to your elbow again, or he goes to your ankle again. So this time your knee does come up and you do reach for the wrist. That's good. But you pull it up. I want you to push that down and keep that down to the side. This right here, you readjusted for this situation, which is really good. And maybe that's a product of you going to a peek out or a Peterson right away, which if he's not chopping, it doesn't warrant that because he's underneath your arm and he can go claw ride, half Nelson, and if he has either of those, you can't really go peek out or Peterson. So going peek out or Peterson right away would be if you think he's going to go chop right away. If you think he's going to go for the ankle, or he has a shin right now, but whatever, same thing. You go right to the knee up, grab wrist post, and you get free. Try to get to a stand up here. It looks like you're trying to get back to this peek out or Peterson position, which actually doesn't help you out in this case. Like, hold strong in this crab ride, grab the wrist, or crab ride, hold strong in this sit out right here, grab the wrist, push it down, and start putting pressure back into him. Keep the wrist controlled for as long as you can. Like, keep the wrist held, and keep your arm nice and straight. And if you do that, it'll be easier for you to keep this arm controlled, and you'll be able to start working your way up. Once you grab wrist control, once you have control of an arm, try to maintain control of that, because as soon as you let go of it, or as soon as you pull it in, you allow him to use it again. So you want to keep it out to the side if you can. And then again, try to keep yourself standing up. Reaching for that leg is really tough. I would imagine you're going to reach that leg so that you can hopefully get a switch, but this tends to be very difficult against good wrestlers, especially with him having a half Nelson right here. He can just kick his leg back and lift his half Nelson up, his underhook, so it's tough to really go for that. And he gets the leg in again, which is unfortunate. Knee up. So here, right now you're on your hands again. It's going to be tough to just push yourself up to a stand-up. It might be easier if you throw your knee underneath and then do a stand-up. So you can take your left knee and throw it down and step up with your right leg real quick and come up. You want his weight to be behind you, not on top of you. You want him to be behind you, not on top of you. So knee goes under, head goes up, pressure goes back, and start standing up immediately. Try to get yourself up to your feet. Try to get your hips back underneath yourself so that you have the power to do that. There's always the opportunity for him to pull you back and roll you back and stuff like that, but you shouldn't be bothered by that either. Just keep your knees up to your chest, roll with him, and stand up again. Him locking your leg up right here is kind of annoying. You can throw your knee forward, throw your left hip down on the right side, throw your left hip down, knee forward to scoot that out. You could also do that after you put a little bit of pressure back into him and then scoot your leg out. You want to get this leg free as much as you can, or as quick as you can. Right now it looks like he's kind of just holding on. The referee's going to start warning him for stalling if he just hangs onto that ankle like that. But he's able to throw the near leg in again. Yeah, you got to keep the legs out, Chase. So like this right here, he's almost prepping to throw the leg in from this position. And he may start digging at your leg with his right leg so he can throw the left leg in. From right here, he can actually lift your leg up with his right leg and throw the left one in if he's comfortable using his legs as tools. Which, as a leg rider, if you're going to ride legs, you should try to use your legs as much as possible, even when you don't have legs in. I can't really see when he gets a leg in. It's probably right here when you lean over to the other side. It looks like you lean over to your right, to the left, and your leg straightens out a little bit, and then he's able to get the leg in a little bit easier because of that. So like right here, when you reach across for the half Nelson, your left leg goes straight, and that's where his leg comes in. You want to keep that protected as much as you can. You don't want legs to get in. Because even like some of the best wrestlers on bottom are held down by leg riding. It's kind of unfortunate. Leg riding is very, very effective when you get good at it. It looks like he's going for this banana split again. This top guy is riding legs like I rode legs when I was a kid. Before I learned all of the, in my opinion, before I learned all of the better stuff. And the stuff that I teach now in the room, as far as lifting the arm up, ball and chain, arm bar, half Nelson roll through, the arm bar, reinforced bar, all of that stuff, the far cradle, I learned all of that stuff by watching David Taylor when he wrestled in college, like after I was done with the sport. So this guy is still on the old style of riding legs. One leg in, trying to go for the guillotine, the grapevine, and the banana split. That's what I did when I was when I was younger, when I was probably this age. The ball and chain, the arm bar, all of that stuff is good. Once he has a figure four here, it's tough to get your leg out. So trying to get your leg free before he gets the figure four is important. And again, like straighten your leg out. Pop your leg straight, like mule kick it, like kick it, and that should pop his ankle out. And then you can use your toe to dig the leg out. You can also throw your knee to the mat and try to use your other leg to dig his ankle across so you can get your leg out. You need to get your leg out as quickly as you can, and using your legs to get your leg out of his leg control can be very effective. This actually is a leg scissor. He doesn't do it intently, this top wrestler, but he has a figure four, and then he has a figure four, and this ankle right here where my cursor is, his right ankle goes behind your leg. This is actually a leg scissor. Referee's looking at the amount of time left, which is not what he should be doing. He should be paying attention, because if he was paying attention, he would be able to call this. It doesn't look like the top guy is actually stretching your leg out at all, so I don't know if they'll call that anyways, but this is what they call a leg scissor. This is actually illegal. You can't figure four your legs and then hook underneath the leg like that. It's in the rule book. It doesn't look like he has a mind to wrench your knee out like that. You can, the reason why that's illegal is because you can break someone's knee doing that. He chooses neutral, probably a good idea. He senses that you may be good on top. Maybe he gets cradled again, or maybe he just gets ridden out, which isn't great. Him choosing neutral is in an effort to try to get 2 takedowns so that he can win the match. Your job right here, Chase, is to get a takedown. If you get a takedown, you seal us out. It is a done match. If you sit there and hang out and you wait and you hold on, you could get called for stalling twice. You get taken down. So many bad things can happen. And if you get taken down, he has to let you go to take you down again anyways to win the match. So you might as well try to get your takedown here and finish it off. Which hopefully you do. I'm hoping that you're like aggressive here in this period. As a coach, I would be like, stay aggressive, attack, get your takedown, seal this match out. He still likes to club with his left arm. It's crazy how habitual people are. But he's still clubbing with that left arm, and that's still like an opportunity for you to go pass by. It's a lefty pass by. It's a little awkward, but you can do it. A lefty pass by, attack this side, over tie and throw it through. You can grab a 2-on-1 from this position. You can do so much with his club right here. I recommend you try to use that. Try to use that. Try to start controlling his arm. Try to start using it against him. It looks like you're kind of just chilling. And I don't recommend you just hang out like this. Matches can go badly pretty quickly if you just hang out like that. Especially against somebody who's pushing you. This guy is kind of just hanging out too. He's down by 2 points. He needs to score here. He can't just chill. Referee's not going to call stalling on you if he's just hanging out too. He has to really start attacking. And you, as he's attacking, because he's going to be attacking pretty furiously because he's down by 2. He needs points to win the match. You should be looking for re-attacks as much as possible. Even if you can get to a leg, like say he takes that shot, you snap him down, you attack the outside single. Even if you can just get to the leg, even if you don't score from there, you can burn up a lot of time scrambling around, trying to get your takedown. So it's very important that you try to use his attacks against him, try to re-attack, try to get into your own shot. Because they're going to call stalling on you if you're not attacking him. Especially, like, put it in this perspective, too. If he takes 5 shots to your 0 shots, referee's going to be like, okay, come on. Like, you gotta shoot. You have to attack. So, look to do that. That's the time. I think it's the first time in this match I saw you try to take that over tie down for, like, the shrug. The slide by. Which isn't a terrible thing. He is going to react. Like, he's going to get himself back to his stance and get back to good position, and so that's the opportunity to attack the far ankle. And this looks like the way this slide by, the shrug looks, it looks like you could have went outside single on the near side instead, and that would require, instead of going over top of the elbow, going underneath it and pulling a little bit and just pulling yourself to the outside single. Looks like you could have done that, because look how hard he steps with his left leg. Look at how close his left leg is. You could have slid right down to that shot right there. Which is, now we know. We didn't know before. Now we know, so you could actually go for it again, and the same thing might happen. But that outside single right here would have been so easy to grab. And then you go to a shrug on the other side. That's awesome. You chain those two together. You go slide by here. He reacts and goes back to a collar tie on the other side. You go right to a shrug, a slide by. That's really, really cool, honestly. And I would like you to start chaining things together as much as possible. So being able to go from one thing to the other, to the other, to the other would help out a lot as far as like attacking your opponent, keeping him on his toes, keeping him in bad position. All of that, like keeping him from attacking, that all happens by you attacking and chaining attacks together. So doing that slide by and then going to the shrug is really awesome. It would have been cooler if you did the shrug as soon as he hit the collar tie. Like as soon as he hits the collar tie, you go for it. So you slide by, he reacts, he goes to the collar tie, and you go to the shrug immediately. That would have been awesome, because you probably would have got it. If you did the shrug like a second earlier, you would have got it. But because you didn't go immediately, he's able to react there. They call out of bounds. So that little series of the slide by to the shrug I really liked. I want you to put more stuff together like that. How many things can you put together to attack your opponent? Whether it be slide bys, tie-ups, transitioning through tie-ups, fakes, shots, whatever it is. How many things can you put together in a row? Because the more you put together in a row, the higher of a chance you have of getting to his leg. Getting to a good shot where he can't really defend that well. And put pressure on him. Don't just hang out. I've spoke about this in many different matches, but start walking forward. Walk forward, stalk the guy. Be a hunter. Don't be a sheep. Don't sit back and get hunted. That's the easiest way to lose a match in this situation, is if you sit back and you get hunted. You want to be the hunter still. You want to be the attacker. You want to be the aggressor. You want to show the referee that you're not stalling, that you're still wrestling, and that you're still trying to score points. These are very, very important things strategically that will help the ref stay on your side. It'll help you win more matches in this kind of a scenario where you're up 2-0. And getting that takedown, like I said before, seals the match out. You get up 4-0. There's 30 seconds left to go in the period, the third period. This guy quits. He doesn't even try anymore. Even if you get up 4-0 and there's a minute left or a minute 30 left in the third period, this guy will stop trying a lot of the time. So it's important to get that takedown to cement the win. And also to teach yourself to be strategic like that. To teach yourself that you're not done in this match yet. You're not done scoring. You have to score here. It is very, very valuable to continue scoring in this position. And this is the case for a match like this where you're up 2-0. It's also the case for a match where you're down 2-0. You do have to score. So getting experience late in the match in a pressure situation getting attack experience in a pressure situation like this late in the match is very important. And you want to build that talent as well. It's a skill. Just being able to stay aggressive in the third period is a skill that not many wrestlers have. The best wrestlers, like the Jason Nolfs of the world, they attack consistently, constantly. It doesn't matter how much time is left on the board. It doesn't matter what the score is. They're still attacking. They're up 2-0, whatever. They want to be up 4-0. They want to be up 6-0. They want the major. They want the tech. They want the pin. And you should not stop wrestling because this is an entire period right now where you're kind of just hanging out. And that's an entire period where you did not. Oh boy, that's an entire period where you could spend not getting better at the sport. And if you do that consistently over the course of your career, that's 33% of your hopefully developed skill that you just don't have because you never worked on it. So in that case, you're not looking for the win anymore. You're already up 2-0. You should be looking for like a better decision. You should be looking for more points. Him getting to a shot right here is unfortunate. Down block is very important. You could have taken this slide by again. You could have taken and used this over tie again. Him going club like that and then going to the high crotch. Whenever he lets go of a tie-up with his right hand, your left hand should drop as if he's shooting. So like his club right here, it looks like you're going over for the shrug again. But when he lets go of the collar tie, you have to get your hand down. Your left hand here has to go down. Because when he drops, if you don't drop your hand quickly, he's shooting and he's going to get through. It looks like you kind of try to, but you were trying to get that shrug again. And the shrug is most effective as soon as somebody gets it. As soon as somebody clubs, that's when you take the shrug. Don't try to like get the shrug 2 seconds later because then he's situated with it and he's strong with it and you're not going to get it as easily. He goes high crotch to the double. Try to get that crotch lock on the far side. Left arm goes through his legs. Right arm goes over his hips. Try to lock your hands up there. If you can get to that crotch lock, you can roll him through on his way down, and you can stop him from getting this takedown. If he gets this takedown here, he slams pretty hard. Looks like you're going for the crotch lock. If he gets this takedown right here, it sends it into overtime, and he's got good momentum at that point to get another takedown, which is an issue. Obviously. Try to keep this ankle back to your hip as much as you can. He's going for the Turk, which is the right play. Try to keep this ankle back if possible. Keep this crotch lock tight and try to almost control the far leg more so he can't step up and Turk you. If you control that far leg, he can't Turk and then he can't really proceed in this position. So as you're controlling this crotch lock, try to start rolling him or try to start locking up that far ankle so he can't really use it. Looks like you're just holding on. Which, in this position, is fine, I guess. Rolling him through may give up a takedown. It may give up some points. It may also get you points. So think about that, too. You should still be attacking. Because they're going to call you for stalling. They should, yeah. And if that was your second stall call, now it's 2-1. And I've seen, if that was your second stall call, it's 2-1. And I've seen people get a takedown in the last 5 seconds off of like a low leg single where they beat the whistle a little bit. So like you can never be satisfied here. So the match is over and you win. So that's a good win, but the third period, slightly disappointed. I would have liked it if you attacked him, stayed on the attack the entire time, and tried to get your takedown. And that's always what I recommend for everybody. Hey, look, it's Red Hawk. That looks like Nathan and Colin. These are 2 of my wrestlers. This is really cool, actually. Or that might not be Nathan. I don't think I've ever seen him wear that singlet, but that's definitely a Red Hawk shorts. Definitely Red Hawk shorts. This may be Colin. It may be maybe Andrew Harmon. Anyways, so I would have liked you to attack more often in the third period to really try to get your takedown and really seal out the match. It's a sketchy thing. It's dangerous, you know? Like, what happens if you're attacking and you get taken down because of it? Yeah, maybe it gets put into overtime. Maybe he lets you up and you win anyways. Maybe you get taken down to your back and something stupid happens. But I'd much rather you stay attacking. I'd much rather you still try to look for points. At that point, it's not about trying to get the win. One day as a coach, I will have effectively stopped my wrestlers from worrying about wins and worrying more about improving their skills. And improving your skills means very many, like a lot of strategic things, a lot of them that I've explained through these videos. But one of the bigger things about kind of like showing people that you're not worried about the win, that you're worried about getting better, is by continuing to attack regardless of the situation of the match. So it doesn't matter that you're up 2-0. It doesn't matter that that's the third period and time is running out and you're about to win a match. It matters more to you that you're going to get better at this sport because of this match. And if you can get into that mode, you can get your skills so much better, so much quicker. And so in that way, you would never worry about the win or the loss, because at the end of the day, wins and losses don't really mean much. A win means that you won a match, and a loss means that you lost a match, whatever. At the end of the day, it's about, did you get better? Did you get 1% better? Did you get 5% better? And how can you actually get better quicker throughout the course of your career? Because if you get better more consistently, quicker throughout the course of your career, faster than other people, then, well, you will rise to the top. That just makes sense. So in order to do that, you have to not worry about the win or loss at all, and you have to worry more, like feverishly more, that like whether or not you're getting better. So in that case, you wouldn't worry about the score at all. Yeah, I could win this match, but I've won how many matches in my life? And how many more matches am I going to win? So who cares? The point is, am I getting better? And if you don't think you're getting better because you're not staying on the attack the entire time, because you didn't get much out of that last period, if you don't think you're getting better, then that's an issue. And that's something that you should be more worried about than the final outcome. And eventually, I want to train our kids to think that way, and I want to train our parents to think that way as well. Because parents, no offense to you parents out there, but it's very difficult for you to see a match where your kid loses and see it as a good match, or see a match where your kid wins and see it as a bad match. It's all about the performance. It's all about how hard did he push? Did he try new things? Did he attack consistently? It's all about that. The win or the loss should not matter at all. As long as he's trying the entire time and trying to improve his skills, that's all that should matter. And eventually we're gonna get there. All right, on to the next match. One more match to go. Okay, so this is the last match. Match number 8 of 8. Chase McCauley versus Donnie Almeida. Chase is in the silver again. I hope this gets better quality as the match goes on, because it looks like the thing in the bottom left, the scorecard, is good quality and this is not. I'm hoping this focuses. We'll see. We'll see what happens. We should be able to get through this match faster, because I would imagine there's less things for me to talk about, because there will be things that crop up that I've already talked about, and I'll just gloss over them a little bit. Again, he posts. Try to use that post. And he lunges at a tie-up, too. So try to use that elbow that you have control of right there. You can actually go, like, with your right hand, you can go to a collar tie, and with your left hand, you can take the elbow through. So it's kind of like a pass-by, kind of like a shrug. You may have seen that before. I think that was in a recent Flow Wrestling video. But there's a way to use that elbow as a shrug as well, when a guy has, like, inside control, and you can just go right up to the head and throw it through. That's a pretty effective little slide-by. So he gets his underhook right here, like that. Try to keep head position as much as you can, so him falling down with that underhook isn't as detrimental. If you have good head position, you'll still have a good overhook, and you'll be able to use that. He does fall down, so like when someone gets an underhook and starts lifting it, I would recommend a fireman's carry. He falls down with it, so that doesn't really make much sense. You can look to go for a front headlock if you're able to keep some kind of control there. So you really have to use your arm to overhook and slam it down and try to sprawl backwards as he starts to fall, and that will help out with your positioning a lot here. Once you have this position, you have to keep your whizzer, your overhook, you have to keep it really tight. You can throw your hips into him a little bit, like throw your hips under him a little and into him to throw him over. That may be possible. Depending on how good of a wrestler he is, he may be able to keep himself stable there. So doing that may or may not be possible. Another thing you could try to do in that kind of a situation is throw the far leg in. That does tend to be dangerous, though. Like here, if you start to try to throw the far leg in and he starts to come up, it'll be very dangerous for you, so then it won't be a good idea. But if you're able to throw the shoulder down and get good position, get good pressure there, the far leg being thrown in could happen. It is a little dangerous to do that. If he rolls through, you can get into some trouble, but otherwise you can use that to your advantage. As you come up, that's another good time to go fireman's carry, depending on how much pressure he's using, like to lift your arm up. If he's really lifting it up hard, you can go right to a fireman's carry on the right side with your left arm. It depends what's going on here and how much pressure he has. You could also go to a snap down, like use your free arm, your left arm, and try to snap his head down and go to a front headlock. Once you get up to your feet, you should be trying to get the bundle or ice pick. So grab the far wrist, pull it across, grab high onto his far arm with your overhook arm, your right arm. Like grab above his elbow, grab up into the armpit, and try to get that all tight and secured. Him going for the ankle pick, there is an opportunity, and this one's a little sketchy as well. You have to be pretty good at this. But him going for an ankle pick with the underhook is actually a good call for him. But you can throw that overhook and limp out of it. So you can like throw the overhook you have forward, try to limp out of it and step over him to get an easy takedown there. It is a slick little move to try, but it is definitely possible. So try to do that if you can. I would definitely drill it in the room first before you actually try it in a match. So be like, yeah, get an underhook and go ankle pick. I'm going to try to throw your underhook, I'm going to try to throw your underhook, my overhook, off of me and try to step behind you. So you can start to do that kind of a thing when somebody has pressure like this. We do have someone in the room that is quite good at that, and when I do go for an ankle pick, he catches me with it every once in a while. So it can work. I'm not sure how easy it would be to do depending on how much pressure and position he has. And that's another time for you to go fireman's carry or for you to get a front headlock is after his ankle pick fails. You go right to the fireman's or you go right to the front headlock depending on his stance and how much he's lifting it up and whatnot. I do want you to use this overhook against him if you can, though. Like, really, try to make an effort to use every tie-up you get, regardless of if it's offensive or defensive. Try to use every one of them. Him having your wrist control with his right hand, your left wrist is controlled with his right hand. You can arm drag that, even though he has the wrist control. That's what I would do. I go right to it just because it's an easy thing to do. It's an arm drag that can get you to a shot, and also once you get to the arm drag, odds are he's going to let go of your wrist and start defending the shot. So it's pretty safe to go to. You want to go to it quickly. It seems like he's attacking you consistently over and over again. You want to break up his attacks by attacking him. You want to put him in a position where he has to react. Otherwise, he's just going to sit there and keep attacking you until he gets a takedown. So the reshots are very, very important for you to go for. Now he's got the outside single. You have to whizzer. You can get back to a sprawl. Knees off the mat, other hip down. So keep your knees up. If you can, and he has your right leg, so keep your left hip down over here. So it's always knees off the mat, other hip down. Then you start looking to circle over his head away from the shot. You always circle away from the shot that somebody has when you're in a sprawl position. With your left hand, you can start reaching for the ankle and start trying to lift that ankle up, break him down, lift the far elbow, and get your takedown. Yikes. So he starts lifting up with... He starts lifting your leg up right here. Your ankle's on the outside, so it makes it tough for you to do anything like a cutback, or funk can even be dangerous here too. You do have to act, though. You do have to do something. He has the inside knee up, so that means you can't go an ankle pick on the far side. One thing that you can do is dive underneath and do a forward roll, and you'd want to do that earlier the better. Like as he's halfway up to his stance, you do that. Otherwise, he could kind of just run the pike and finish this shot. This is actually a really great way of finishing an outside single when someone has a whizzer, is by keeping the ankle on the outside of your hip, shelving it with your inside knee, coming up with it, and then running pike running the pike, circling in front of the guy, throwing shoulder pressure down, throwing him to his butt, and getting a double. Like, you can do all of that in one smooth motion if you know what you're doing in this offensive side of this Shin Wizard that he has, or that you have, really. Now, if you don't act, you're going to get taken down. If you don't act, you're going to get taken down. So think about that for a second. If you do act, like say if you do a dive underneath, do a forward roll, and try to go for funk, you may get taken down. If you don't do anything, you probably will get taken down. So you don't really have much of a choice. You do have to do something. And it doesn't look like you do much to really counter all of this. You grab the wizard, you're in a sprawl position, but your knees are on the mat, so you don't have good hip pressure. He sucks your leg in, you have to go for a whizzer, but once you get to a whizzer, you're not trying to drag him out to the side at all and break him down. Like right now, you can take your left hand and put it further away from him, and then use that to try to pull him down to the mat. So you circle away from him at this point. And if you can pull him down to the mat and turn your hips away from him, or turn your hips towards him, turn your head away from him a little bit, you can get yourself back to a better position where maybe you can break him down and get him to cover your ankle with his knee and start looking for a Jonesy or funk. Or you break him down, and then you can start trying to sneak your leg out. So you can start trying to kick your leg free out to the side. All of that requires you to try to break him down from this position. And if you can't do that because he's too strong or stable, or he's coming up and you just missed your opportunity, you have to do something to act. You can't just hold on and hope that nothing bad happens, because usually when you wait, something bad happens. So pull away, try to defend, and if you can't, if he's coming up and there's nothing you can do about it, dive for funk. Do a forward roll, dive underneath. The ankle is right here. It's stepping up. You can see it. You can attack it with your free arm as you go. Now, it is not that hard to counter, to stop, but it is something that you could do. And right there, you're like very close to getting cradled. Like right here, it looks like he's very, very close to getting a cradle. So doing something like that would have been better than getting cradled and put to your back and pinned. He doesn't really get the locked up, it looks like. I can't really see much right now. It looks like he came up, he reached for the head, and you kind of fell away from him, and he gets a takedown, but still. That whole entire takedown could have been avoided, is my point.
What's up there, Kaloka?
What's the name of this thing?
Don't worry about it.
What was it?
You recognize me, Dirty?
I know what you were.
Alright, let's turn the volume down so we don't hear this random argument. Alright, they look like friends talking, but whatever. So he's looking to get that armbar. He's pulling it back. You need to try to post your hand on the mat and start pushing your hips away from it. So post, push away, and try to get your arm extended so he can't get that armbar. Because right now... Wait, can I turn the volume up? Right now, it looks like... I can't. People are talking. Right now, it looks like he's getting that armbar regardless, and he's going to start running it around. Yeah, and your arm, when it comes up, you don't have any pressure on him. It looks like he has some solid pressure forward. You don't really have any pressure on him with your arm, and you're not sitting underneath much. So once your arm pops out there, he does have good control of that bar, and he's able to start running it over probably. It is unfortunate him getting an armbar here, and you just kind of just like throwing pressure down. And once somebody has an armbar, it's like, what else can you do? You have to chop it down. You have to try to resist it. You have to try to get your arm free. Once you get back to your base, though, right here, you have to start trying to push that forward or start reaching over his hip and trying to sit underneath it. There's not much else you can really do here, unfortunately. Armbars are really strong when done well. It looks like you're putting a lot of pressure towards his hip, and it's starting to go towards your shoulder, so he's starting to lose it. Honestly, top guy should probably jump over to the other side and get that armbar tight again and start trying to use a half Nelson on the other side or something. Because he lost it, and now he's not in a great position to recover. You could probably hook underneath and go for the leg, a high crotch, run double. But it looks like you missed that, which it is what it is. But you can start to face him, which is, honestly, I would like you to try to face him in that position and try to not let him get back behind you, because he's in danger right now. If you could take your arm up to like an underhook even, you can get yourself back to your stance and get an escape real quick, because he's all the way out to the side. His arm is not underneath. He doesn't have much control of you right now. But he gets around behind without you facing him, without you coming up to your feet and grabbing an underhook, without you attacking the leg and going high crotch double. Like, there's a couple other things that you could have done in that situation to improve your position. You have to stand up. You can't sit there and brace. If you sit there and brace, a lot of bad things are going to happen. Like, he's eventually going to chop and get it. He can go bow and arrow, arm lever. You can grab the wrist, head and the shoulder, and start dragging your arm out to the side and get the arm bar again. He can throw legs in. He can do a lot of things when you're just kind of sitting here on your base, bracing. You do have to get yourself moving as much as you can. As often as you can. You don't want to ever just stand still. The easiest kids to ride out didn't do much on bottom. They tried to hold position and fight me directly with strength, and that does not work well. The kids that were best at getting out from bottom for me were the kids that stood up immediately, were up on their feet right away, or they were the kids that kept me in crab rides as I was trying to ride legs. So one or the other. So here you get broken down to your hip again, and he's got this chop again. Try to grab that wrist and lift it up to your, the tight waist wrist. Try to grab that wrist and peel it a little bit and lift it up to your chest if you can. Try to get that controlled a little bit so you can start running your hips out. If he still has that tight waist, it's going to be hard to get moving from there. And honestly, lifting that wrist up might not be possible, but it's something to try. Because a lot of times the tight waist gets so tight that there's not much you can do about it. Especially if things aren't slippery, if there's no like sweat factor or anything like that. And on singlets, there tends not to be any sweat factor. Unless you're in, like, college or something. But you're getting chopped over to the side. I imagine you're, like, worried about the arm bar for a lot of it. Changeover. So post your hand out more and do your changeover. Or peek out Peterson. Like, you have to do one of those. Hanging out on your stomach is not great. It's not a great feeling either. And this is like, I don't know what match this is as far as this situation exiting the first period down 2-0, but this has happened a bunch of times throughout these video reviews, and I would recommend trying to get yourself to a point as far as your skills on bottom that you're able to get that escape. So really, really working hard to stand up and keep yourself moving, to use as much energy as possible to get free in that first period if you get taken down, so that you can end that period 2-1 at the very least. Because a match that's 2-1 after the first period is way easier to win than a match that's 2-0 after the first period. So think about that. Dude, getting that escape point is super, super important. So try to do that as much as you can after you get taken down. Really fight hard, like, and really show us that you're fighting hard too. He chooses neutral, which at this point in the tournament, if he has watched any of your matches, that makes sense. That's a good idea because you have pinned a couple kids. You have come back from losses because of your cradle. Like, you're pretty decent on top. So him choosing neutral is a sign that he does not trust his ability to get free on bottom, which is not great for him. He's up 2-0. Why is he choosing neutral? That's a terrible idea as far as his development for the future of his skills in this sport. He should not be choosing neutral. He should be choosing bottom and getting free from that regardless of how it fares in this match. He is up 2-0. There's no reason not to choose down and get an escape. But whatever, I digress. I've probably said this a couple times throughout the course of all of these match reviews. Him choosing neutral just seems like a silly idea for me. He chooses neutral out of fear, basically. That also tells you a little bit. So say if this period doesn't go well, say you get taken down again pretty easily, and maybe he gets some back points or something like that, choosing top in the third period is a good idea because we know that he's scared of bottom. We know that if he had his choice, he wouldn't choose bottom, so there's a bit of fear involved in there, and you know that you have a chance of getting that cradle again or getting something on top. So if this period goes out with you getting taken down and giving up more points, choosing top in the third period would be the choice. I actually like that low leg single off the whistle. You try to beat the whistle a little bit and go to that low leg. The only issue, like, you do make contact, but it doesn't look like you pull the ankle in much. It looks like he gets all the way to a sprawl before, you know, your knee hits, before you get back to your base there. And it would have been nice that if you go for this low leg, this ankle pick right here, if you do get this ankle, you have to lift it. You have to pull it to your chest real quick. Because if you can get that and pull it in, it'll be so much more difficult for the other guy to sprawl, and it'll be easier for you to get head position on his knee and start looking for that double. So like a low leg single, head on the knee, lift the ankle to your chest, and then attack the double, circle to the outside, circle to the far side. That can be very, very effective, but you do have to like attack, get a piece of it, and pull it straight in. So, like, that was a good shot. I like that. You could have finished it a little bit easier, though. It could have been a finish. It looks like he... Yikes. He's able to circle. He's able to sprawl out, circle, arm drag, get behind, which is unfortunate. If this fails, you have to be able to get to an underhook fast. With your right arm, has to come straight up to an underhook so you hold him out in front of you so he can't just circle around. With him getting kind of like a front headlock here without you getting an underhook on the right side, it allows him to get that arm drag on your right arm and get behind you because your hands are on the mat. You're not really controlling anything. You're not controlling an elbow. You're not controlling a wrist. You're not controlling anything. So he's able to just arm drag and get behind you. You have to you have to try to get some kind of control after that shot fails. So the underhook would give you enough control to stop him, to slow him down, or even grabbing an elbow, like grabbing that left elbow right there would have held him out in front of you a little bit easier and allowed you to get, allowed you to avoid that takedown anyways. But you need to control something. When he goes arm drag here, that also is an opportunity for you to go re-drag. So with your right hand, reach up into his armpit. You're going to have to sit a little bit, and it may not work, but it's better than doing nothing. And it's better than him just getting around behind you. You can do a re-drag here, sit underneath, and try to attack a double. You could also stand up to your feet. So when this guy circles around here, if you don't stand up, he's going to get behind you. If you do stand up, odds are if he does get behind you, you can grab a wrist, post it down, and cut and get free. Or if he doesn't get all the way behind you because you stood up, he'll be on a leg, which means you still have time to scramble, get to a whizzer or a sprawl or something else. So you still prolong the takedown, and you give your chance to get your own takedown. This position right here, you need to start standing up immediately. You need to come up because you don't really have much control. So if it's not the arm drag, it's the stand up. Get up to your feet fast. This is one of the best times to do a stand up to get free, to start trying to get out from bottom. As soon as somebody sweeps around and tries to get a takedown. He sweeps around and pulls you. It looks like this kid's pretty strong. Looks like this kid's really good. So he's going to cut you and start just trying to take you down. He doesn't want to wrestle you on the mat.
Always going forward. Always going forward. Always.
And so this is, he's wrestling kind of the way that I want all of my wrestlers to wrestle. He does a snap down, then a high crotch on the other side, so this is a different shot than he's taken. He has gotten, at this point, 3 different takedowns with 3 different things, which is something that's super important. Well, he didn't get this takedown yet, but it's something that's super important is to be able to switch it up often, because switching it up makes it so much easier to keep yourself getting to a leg and attacking and getting takedowns, because it's hard for people to react and adjust and know what you're going to do next. It's hard for them to defend if you're always doing something different. This guy is pretty much going fast the entire time, attacking. Unfortunately, you get dropped to your hip again, which probably really hurt. But yeah, this kind of thing will hurt. When somebody goes to drop you there, try to start rolling him through as he's dropping. Because not only will he not land on top of you and hurt you, but also you'll have a better chance of rolling through. You'll have an easier chance of actually getting all the way to the other side to defend. So as you reach for that crotch lock and he starts coming up with it, start trying to roll before he starts to try to drop you. It'll solve a lot of problems like this injury time and also him being on your legs. Looks like you're going to be on injury time for a little bit. So the one thing I will say, you need to attack him consistently. You have to attack him as much as possible because this is the kind of wrestler that will attack you consistently over and over again and will not stop. And so it's very, very difficult dealing with a kid like this if you are not attacking him, getting to his leg. That's usually how it is against really good wrestlers, like really good college wrestlers or whatever. If you're not attacking them, you're screwed. You're getting beat up. You're getting hurt. You're getting thrown around. You're getting taken down. You're getting beat up. You have to attack these kids. You have to slow them down. You have to make them react. You have to get to your own shots and get to your own takedowns. And right now it's 4-1. You're only down by 3. It's not that big of a deal. You need a takedown, maybe some back points, maybe 2 takedowns, whatever. There is still an opportunity for you to come back in this match. You need to start attacking him in order to do that, though. If you allow him to continue on his little attack spree without getting some kind of opposition, it will just snowball on you, and you'll end up getting teched or pinned. There's some wrestlers, when they keep the heat on, it's tough to get them to stop if you're not attacking them. He goes over tie and pulls it through. Here. Now this is an opportunity for you to go outside single on the right side. I don't know if I've seen you do that yet, but there's an outside single over here. There's also the high crotch over on the other side. You do need to take those attempts. It doesn't look like you're, aside from that low leg single that you took, it doesn't look like you're shooting very much. And you didn't really do this in other matches either, so my suggestion here as far as the development of your style, of your skills and everything like that, is to start attacking more. Try to get to a point where you're taking a shot once every 5 to 10 seconds, depending on the tie-up situation and how you're setting things up or whatever, but still, you should be attacking at least once every 10 seconds. Some kind of leg attack, some kind of poke, some kind of fake to get him reacting, to make him a little bit less confident with his own attacks, a little bit more uneasy about yours. He likes to take that lefty high crotch. That's the second time he did that. He goes over tie, you circle away, and then he goes to the lefty high crotch again. So because he goes lefty high crotch a lot, you're going to have to keep your right hand down to block that high crotch. You're going to have to down block that as good as you can. And again, once he gets to a shot, you have to go crotch lock and roll through. There's also the crackdown. I mean, there's sprawling as well. Sprawling would be the best thing here. If you're able to throw your other hip down, probably crossface a little bit, throw your other hip down, lifting your ankle, you would have to put more pressure on him, so you'd have to face him better, and you have to get off your knees. That might be difficult against this kid. He looks like he's in pretty good position to start running double and lifting you up and whatnot, but doing that would be good, or getting to a crackdown, and the crackdown should have happened before he actually got to good position. So like right here, the crackdown would happen, so you'd start to let your left leg buckle a little bit and start scooting over to the right. Lock up the crotch lock, lock up the near leg, put pressure forward, and crossface. Try to get your takedown there. You have to do this stuff as soon as possible. As soon as he gets to your leg, you have to start defending. So he gets this shot right here. You have to start sweeping out to the sprawl position. And if you can't go to the sprawl, you have to get to the crackdown fast. And if you can't crack down, you have to go for the crotch lock, which you do, but you have to roll him through fast as well. Like, you have to undercut his body. You have to throw your body straight underneath his so you can roll fast. And you have to act as if it's you taking the shot as far as this defense is concerned. It has to be you initiating the motion, you initiating what's happening here. Because if it's all defense, 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 and you're not treating it as offense, it will snowball on you and he will finish it. You have to get control and you have to start moving him. You have to start using this stuff. Try to keep your ankles back to your hips so he can't step over top of it. There is an opportunity because of where his bottom arm is. There's an opportunity for you to cross-face him right to his back, especially if you hook his bottom leg with your leg. You might be able to cross-face and push him to his back and maybe catch him on his back, maybe just have a leg in. But you do have to get your hips up in order to do that. You have to keep your feet back towards your hips in the meantime, so you can't just step over top of it and lock it up, because him locking up that ankle, whether it's the Turk or the top leg, gets him closer to the takedown. So try not to let him lock that leg up. And he's grabbing your calf muscle with one hand to pull it down, but that doesn't mean you can't fight it. And usually if you were fighting it really hard, he would have to use two hands to pull that ankle back, pull that leg straight. So try to keep your ankle close to your hip as much as you can here. And this is another situation where you may be able to push into him and crossface him with your free arm, your left arm, and push him underneath you. Because his bottom arm didn't swim out, there is that opportunity to just crossface him to his back. But you have to act soon or act fast. And if you just base out, belly out, well, that's another takedown. So you're reaching for a leg to try to initiate your own shot before he just lets you up again, which honestly is not a bad idea because he seems to be getting into the shot pretty easily when he has a clean start on top. So trying to initiate a scramble is not a bad thing, as long as the guy doesn't go to a cradle or something random and put you to your back. You can't roll across your back when you're on bottom. You can't funk or anything like that. Rolling across your back with a crotch lock is a bad idea because you'll give up back points too, so you'd have to be careful. Yeah. But here, you're going to get caught up in a cradle because he has your leg locked up and you're reaching for his leg. This is going to turn into a cradle. Even a spladle, even worse. If he reached over top underneath your far leg, he could spladle you. So you do have to be careful in situations like this. And right now, you'd be looking for, an arm drag. Use your left hand, reach up into the armpit and arm drag, throw him over to the left, and attack the right side. There are ways to continue attacking here, especially with the wrist control stuff. Snap his head down with your right hand, start pulling your left arm to the left a little bit and start attacking the right side. There are definitely things you can do here. He has a wrist and you have a wrist. You can go to an arm drag over on the left side, this side over here. You can do an arm drag on. The point being, you have to get to a shot as quick as you can against this guy. You can't sit back and let him attack you, because he's going to get to his attacks if you do that. And so before, there are matches where sitting back and hanging out didn't really do much. Like, it didn't really have an issue. It didn't create any problems. Against a kid like this, it will create problems. Because he's just going to have a forward lean, he's going to keep attacking, and because you're not attacking, you're not threatening him, he's able to keep attacking you more consistently. So you have to do those low legs that low leg that you did. You have to do stuff like that. You have to poke. You have to keep him in danger. You have to make him think that you are confident in this situation, confident enough to attack him and get a takedown. Because right now you're kind of just hanging out on the outskirts again, and this is the type of match where it really shows like that can be a bad thing. Because he's kind of just tying up and shooting. He's tying up and shooting, tying up and shooting. And you don't really have much answer for it. I was going to say, he shouldn't call 2 there. He should wait a little bit before he calls 2. You had a whizzer. You have to keep this whizzer and try to slam his head down to the mat and try to throw your hips in a little bit. Try to bump him away from you so you can go back out in front of him, maybe to a front headlock or something like that. Letting go of that whizzer, not having it tight, it's going to give up the takedown. And who knows, maybe you're really tired at this point, maybe you're hurting, maybe whatever, but still, get a good whizzer there and start trying to throw his head to the mat and start trying to bump his hips away from yours so that you can start to get yourself back to good position. When it comes to this collar tie position where you both pretty much have collar ties, pressure down. Pull pressure down. Snap him down. Start trying to make him step and set up your own shots. Because another question that I would ask is, how many shots did you take versus how many shots did he take? I remember that low leg single that you took, but what else did you do to attack him? Right? And because you took 1 shot compared to his 4 or 5 or 6 shots, that's just going to be a recipe for losing the match, for giving up a lot of points just because he's attacking more. And not only is he attacking more, he's more confident in this neutral position because of that too. So he already got a couple takedowns. He's smelling blood in the water like a shark, man. He's attacking, and he thinks that taking you down is going to be easy. And so he's just going to let you go again and attack again. He's not even going to give you time on top or on bottom to work. I mean, if I was him, I wouldn't. Who are we kidding? I'd probably try to throw legs in and turn you. As far as my coaching is right now, usually if somebody's up 8-2 and can't turn the guy within 15 seconds, I just have him cut him and take him down. And depending on how much time is left in the period. Obviously, right now, you can't do that. 20 seconds left, getting a takedown is kind of tough sometimes. But I can't see anything going on. But there's been a lot of times where we had one of our wrestlers up 8-2, and they just cut him in the last 15 seconds and got another takedown anyways. So right now, you should choose top, which is what you do. It's a good idea choosing top because he was afraid of bottom before. He didn't take bottom. He doesn't want to wrestle you on the mat. It's evident because he keeps cutting you. He only held on to you when there was only 20 seconds left, so that was more of a strategic thing than an actual I am confident on the mat with this guy thing. So choosing top is a good idea, and honestly, you'd probably be looking to try to pin him at this point. You had plenty of time on bottom. Oh, you didn't really have much time on bottom. He just cut you. But you had plenty of time on your feet to test against this guy, and you weren't really attacking too much. So choosing top is a good idea. Try to get the pin. Try to get some back points maybe. Right now he's thinking, oh boy, I got to watch out for that cradle. And he stands up to his feet. This is where attacking the top wrist, like I was explaining, I think in the last video I was explaining how attacking that top wrist, it would be important in this position because he can keep that wrist controlled. Looks like he let go of it, but he can keep that wrist controlled, take it over his head, and get free real quick. As far as this guy is concerned, like getting a cradle on this guy, you're going to have to break him down a little bit more before you start trying to just go right for your cradle. Because good wrestlers tend to get up to their feet quickly. They tend to escape as soon as they can. So getting him not to escape means, or getting your cradle, let's say, means breaking him down first. So get a good chop going, lock up that leg, then get the crossface, and then start looking for it. Like start getting yourself into a leechier position before you actually go for your cradle. If you're too quick to get your cradle, like you're rushing it too much, you won't get it because you're rushing it. You're not spending time to break him down to get him under control first. You're just trying to get the cradle. And in that case, he's just going to stand up and kind of circle away from it, attack your wrists, and stand up. Like he's not going to have too much trouble here. You're not going to really get to the far arm because he did turn away from your crossface, which is actually good. Locking this up, pulling this together, and locking it up is going to be very tough against anybody who's strong. This kid looks like he's pretty strong. So he's just going to stand right up and grab your wrist and kind of separate your arms. Yeah, that's a kind of cradle that's not really going to work well against a strong kid, against a really good kid. Just because it looks like you're just reaching for it. And I'm honestly kind of surprised that he didn't just get free here. He can continue to circle out to his left. If he just continues to circle out to his left, you're going to lose him altogether. But he stands up to his feet anyways, which is fine, you know, for him. You, at this point, you need to let go of the cradle idea because he's up on his feet. You're not going to be able to do anything anymore. You need to get yourself back to locked hands or maybe a chop to get him back to his base. So, yeah, you get back to locked hands, which is good. Pull him back down to the mat. That's locked hands. When you pull someone back down to the mat, try to pull them into a crab ride if you can. It looks like your feet are kind of getting awkward. You're falling to your hip, which makes it easy for him to go for a switch. Or, you know, I think he goes for a switch. He kind of just starts circling away. But this is a good time for him to go switch. You need to, as he starts to fall, you have to put him into a crab ride. So that means feet on the inside of his legs, knees on either side of his hips, feet on the inside of his legs, on the inside of his calf muscles, and trying to pull him back into like a half Nelson. Try to keep a tight waist, half Nelson claw ride, so you can pull him backwards and you can start to roll with him. That way you can control him as he sits down. If you're not comfortable or used to, or if you're not like already in the habit of pulling people back in a crab ride, a situation like this will overwhelm you because you don't really have control of his hips or his legs right now, which means his hips and his legs are free to roam. And that's pretty much what happens. Let's reverse this again. He stands up. You go for the cradle. He grabs the wrist. His hips and legs are free to roam because you're not able to control his legs on the way down with your legs. That's really what you would want to do. And he just continues to turn. And honestly, that was locked hands. I don't know if the ref calls it, but you holding on to locked hands in this kind of a scenario is not a good idea. Your ref doesn't call it, but we're going to call that locked hands. Make sure that you let go of your locked hands when you get to a position like this. You start to fall. You cannot hold on to locked hands anymore. Your right arm probably should go to a claw ride. Your left arm should stay on a tight waist, and you need to circle your hips farther to the left so you can catch his hips and legs and control them. He keeps on moving. And at that point, when he's about to get behind you and get that reversal, you need to start bailing. Start like running away from him so he doesn't get the reversal. He only gets the one. So that just means you have to continue to move. If you don't continue moving, that's where you find yourself in trouble. He gets a reversal. So he wants to let you up again, but you're holding on to his arm. So he's just going to kind of chill. You should be looking to get your escape here anyways. Regardless of the score in the match, you're already down by 8. So that's a major that you're giving up. If you get your escape, you take the match back down to a regular decision, which saves the team point. So that the team will be really happy with you if you got your escape. But also getting your escape in this kind of scenario is very important. You just got taken down again, and regardless of the score, your style should not change. So you're losing by 8, whatever, you know. Build yourself back up, try to get your escape, try to get your takedown, try to keep moving with the match as if nothing happened. He goes to a one-on-one wrist ride. So well, I guess we can go over like the 2-on-1 that he has right now. He would try to go for a hazard if he's able to pull the arm across, but since he can't pull the arm across, he goes to the one-on-one. And I think I suggested this to you a couple videos ago, a couple matches ago, maybe last video. I suggested if you can't get the arm across to go for the one-on-one wrist ride. And this is exactly how I want you to do this. This kid's pretty good. He knows what he's doing. This is exactly how I would want you to do it. Just keep the wrist, get your inside knee forward, get it below the forearm right here, and start trying to dig half Nelson and claw ride on the far side. So see how he digs a half on the far side? He has the inside one-on-one. He has elbow pressure maybe. His inside knee is forward, so your arm is on top of his leg. This is a very uncomfortable position to defend. He has the half Nelson on the far side, which is good too. And I would imagine this is how he rides people out when he's on top. It's probably either armbar or one-on-one or hazard 2-on-1. Who knows? Maybe this kid knows a lot of things and he does a lot of different stuff. Either way, the way he's wrestling is a lot like the way I want you to wrestle. Him getting that leg back doesn't help him out that much, actually. You could probably do a peek out. Maybe? I don't know. It depends how much control he has of your arm, the one-on-one. But you could try to start circling your hips away from him and start trying to go for a peek out over here. And yeah, throwing him to the other side in a Peterson-like motion would help get him and all of his pressure off of the side that he was on. And right now you have to break the 2-on-1, and hopefully you don't go back to your stomach. Because once you break the 2-on-1, try to stay in this crab ride position that you're in right now so that you can start to put pressure back and start to try to stand up to your feet. Once you get pushed back down to the mat, back to your stomach, things get a lot more difficult, as you know. Breaking that 2-on-1 with just your elbow, that's a tough order. I'm actually kind of surprised that you got that. I imagine he was slipping off your wrist anyways, like already. But using your elbow to break that off is kind of difficult. Usually you want to go underneath the wrist and pry it off, especially against a good kid who has a good grip. You want to pry it off. But you're able to get him to slip off. You go back to your base. Knees have to come under. You have to stand up again. Keep fighting. Don't ever just lay down. I don't care what the score is. I don't care who's winning, how much time is left. Keep fighting, keep fighting, keep fighting. Try to get your wrist free. Try not to give up wrist control as well. The guy goes, he's done nothing on top. He actually did a couple good things. So it's funny how the opinions of people are different from the opinions of, like, legitimate coaches. He could be trying harder to turn you, but you could be trying harder to get free too. So you did stand up, that's good. You got yourself moving, that's awesome. And I can't really see what's going on here, but, you know, in general. Pushing on the face, 1 green. So, because you're losing the match so much is why you're getting heated, and why you lose your cool a little bit, because you're losing, because you're frustrated, because you want to win, and that's cool, man. That's really, really cool. But pushing at his face and doing things that are unsportsmanlike is not really cool, and it also shows that, well, you're frustrated, which means emotionally you're pretty hot right now. You don't want your emotions to run hot. You want to stay calm regardless of the score, regardless of the match. I know you want to win. Everybody wants to win, but you have to stay calm. You have to stay relaxed. You have to be nonchalant about it. You're going to be frustrated. That's a good thing. That means you care, but also you don't want to show it. You want to show maturity. You want to show that you're willing to get up from this match and learn what you did wrong or learn what you didn't do or whatever and move forward from there. And understanding this sport is more about improvement than about victories will help you out tremendously in that area. Because, like, say you're really frustrated here. You gave up a point because you pushed at his face or whatever. You got unsportsmanlike, so you got frustrated. And the question is, after this match was over, did you go over to your coach and ask him what you could have done better? Most kids don't ever do this. So usually the answer is no. But did you go over to your coach and ask what you could have done better? Or were you still fuming from the match, from the situation, from the fact that you lost, from all of that? It takes a very mature person to, after a loss like this, go over to his coach and be like, what could I have done better? Like, where could I have improved? How can I turn this around? Like, if you're always hungry for that knowledge, for that improvement knowledge, you will get better consistently, and you'll make matches like this where you lose 10-2. You'll turn this match into a 6-3. You'll turn it then into like a 4-3 or a 4-2 or whatever. You'll get it to a point where you can eventually beat this kid if you're always looking for ways to improve. But that requires you to not worry so much about the loss here. It requires you to worry more about your improvement of this sport. And I very, very much urge everybody out there, anybody who's still watching this video at this point, which is probably not many people because this is like, we're at the 2-hour mark or whatever. I would implore you guys to try to change your thoughts on how you think about wins and losses in the sport, because it will help you out tremendously as far as getting better. We all get frustrated. We all want to win. That's a normal thing. That's a normal part of human beings and their psychology and all of that. And why we have rose to such a great point we are at right now with all the crazy technology we have. My ability to post this on YouTube or whatever is because humans want to keep on finding better and better ways to do things, right? And we want to win, right? And that's normal for human nature. Trying to stay grounded with it, though, is important. Like, how can I improve this? Not, I lost and I'm mad, you know? In general, we'll go over some closing arguments. In general, what I would like you to do is attack more. Find attacks quicker. Use underhooks in different ways other than just lifting it up and trying to bully through someone. Use underhooks to establish ankle picks and high crotches and arm throw, the baseball throw, leg grab. Use the underhook to attack the leg more often. I would like you to attack more with more variation. So get a 2-on-1, use that. I don't think I saw you use a 2-on-1. A pass by, use a pass by and go shoot off of that. And that's righty and lefty. I would recommend you start taking outside singles on the right side, which I don't know how many I saw you do. Outside singles on the left side. Really just taking more shots in general will help out a lot, because it's one of the more consistent ways to take down good wrestlers like this is by shooting on them, by attacking them, by keeping them at bay, by making them react to you. So more setups, more shots, more fakes, because I don't know how much you fake throughout the course of all of these matches either. More setups, more shots, more fakes, more hand fighting, getting yourself into scrambling positions where you're on the offensive side of things more. All of that stuff will help out tremendously. Your cradle on top is pretty good. It's pretty decent. It gets you a lot of wins and it gets you out of a lot of matches. It gets you out of a lot of losses. I would also like you to branch off a little bit with that crossface cradle, and I would recommend going from the cradle to, say, having a leg in and using the far arm, lifting the arm up for ball and chains and arm bars and stuff like that. And you can still look for your crossface cradle, your far cradle with a leg in as well. Using that 1-on-1 when you can't get the 2-on-1 across, when you can't get the hazard. Using that 1-on-1, getting out to the side like this kid did at the end of this match, and trying to get that half Nelson on the far side. Just better ways of transitioning from one thing to another on top so that you can get more out of the position, more out of it than just a cradle. Your cradle will be there. It will be there in a lot of different matches, but I think the less you force it, the more you'll see it in that kind of situation. So the more you do other things, the more you keep people defending other things, the more you'll see opportunities to get your cradle. So just being more three-dimensional in general. And then on bottom, I highly, highly recommend you get good at standing up and controlling hands. And the changeovers, the peek out and the Peterson, that you do try to do peek outs and Petersons, but when you do it, your hips tend to be low, your head seems to be high, which doesn't help you out with it. People usually have a good tight waist, so you have to pull that tight waist up a little bit so you have more room to run there, and you have to do it faster. I don't know if you've done a changeover in all of these 8 matches. So the guy chops you, post, and throw your hips over and switch your feet. Right, so to do the changeover so you can get yourself moving there. Try to get yourself up on your feet a lot quicker, a lot more often. Wrestle matches out to completion. Do not worry about the score. I already talked about on your feet. Make sure you have a forward lean. Make sure you're walking forward. Make sure you're attacking, because it seems like you're kind of just hanging out a lot of the time and waiting for someone to do something to you. Take control. Take control of the match. Take control of the attacks. Take control of as much as you can in this sport. We're really like the whole basis of this sport, the whole idea of it is who can control who, and you get points for doing that, right? Take as much control as early as you can and don't give it up. Keep attacking so that other people can attack you. I have so much different advice about that kind of stuff. So much advice about that different kind of stuff. But these are the general things I think I saw in those 8 matches. If you have any questions, be sure to contact me, Chase, or Chase's dad, or whoever's watching this. Be sure to contact me. There's a comment section down there at the bottom. You can always send me an email, seth@redhawkwrestling.com, and we can take it from there. I'm also active on social media, Twitter, Facebook. I think it's just Red Hawk Wrestling. You could probably search it and find it on either of those. And be sure to visit the website if you want to see like the lesson plan. So if anybody is watching this, or you Chase, if you or your dad's watching this and you hear me reference a move that you don't know what it is, all the moves that I talk about are on the website on the redhawkwrestling.com/lessons, and that shows all of our lesson plans. So if you search through that, you'll find the different moves that I'm talking about, and we have videos that detail how to do each one of those. So that'll help fill information if you're not aware of whatever I'm saying. But again, if you can't find the information there, make sure you send me a text or email or call me or whatever, and we can talk and chat about it, and I'd be happy to do that. Thank you so much for hiring me to do these videos. This has been actually really, really fun, really eye-opening experience starting to do these match reviews. I'm really happy that I'm doing them. If anybody out there wants me to do a match review for your kid or for your wrestler or for your club's wrestlers or whatever, be sure to contact me, email me, and we'll set that up. I think the going rate right now that I'm doing is $30 per match. Every match takes me 30 minutes on average, 30 minutes plus, unless it's like a really quick match. Every match takes me about 30 minutes, so yeah. $30 is my normal, $60 per hour is my normal private lesson charge, so $30 per match seems normal to me. Otherwise, hope you had fun watching all these matches if you made it to this point. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Subscribe to the channel, Red Hawk Wrestling. That'd be really sick if we could grow this into something big. Otherwise, until next time, have a good one.